Hello, everyone. I am here with the NATE2D2, and we are here raising some funds to help a family in need. So, NATE2D2, can you go ahead and give us the rundown of what this whole thing is about?
Sure. First, I'd like to thank your brother in Christ for doing this live stream, having me on, and helping out Believing Thinkers. For those of you who don't know, I am NATE2D2. Yes, the NATE2D2. I am just a dude that you probably see in a lot of live chats with a blue wrench. For some reason, everyone likes to give me a wrench. But that's not why we're here today. Today, we are here raising funds for Believing Thinkers, aka Sean Hurst and Erika Hurst. Believing Thinkers is a YouTube channel that is an Christian apologetics YouTube channel that is focused on equipping you with a proper understanding of philosophy and theology. It's run by Sean and Erika Hurst. You may have seen them as part of the apologetics empire with David Wood, Vocab Malone, John McCrae, and a bunch of other people. They haven't been so active on the channel in about a year, maybe a year and a half, because they've been dealing with a lot. And this is why we're here today. We're trying to help raise funds for them because they're dealing with a lot of financial hardships. That's just one thing after another that has been piling on. They had to find a new house, for one. Thankfully, they did. When we started this campaign, the GoFundMe, which I think is pinned at the top of the chat, so go ahead and check that out. Open it in a new window if you can. But when we started this campaign, they were in need of a new house. By God's grace, they found a new house. But then there's so many other things that they've been dealing with, medical issues that Sean's been dealing with, and they had to. I mean, there was a car accident that he had. They had to get a new car, and so they've been making car payments on that, and it's just there's just so many things that they they're not bringing in enough to be able to cover the current costs that they have. So sorry, I'm very scatterbrained. But Sean, we should mention Sean is an Army veteran, so he did serve. I think he may have served in Afghanistan. If he's in the chat, maybe he can clarify that. But yes, there's the GoFundMe. He actually he was studying, I believe, in Bible college or something like that. I think learning pastoral. I forget what the degree was, but he was studying, I think, theology, and then the 9/11 attacks happened. He signed up the very next day, September 12th, 2001, to serve. He ended up serving, I think, in the Army in a combat unit from 2002 to 2010. He was medically retired because he was injured in combat. And so he basically supports his family entirely off of disability and retirement income, which, that's managed to sustain them for a while. Mind you, him and Erika have 6 kids, so yeah, that's a lot of mouths to feed. And the youngest is, I believe, 1 to 16 in age. I think is the age ranges. So in addition to feeding 6 mouths, I think they're also having to deal with diaper costs and whatnot. So that. From what I understand, it's not cheap. I'm not a family man myself, so I don't have particular specific knowledge of that. But
It's not cheap. Nope.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So you would know. Yeah, your brother in Christ would know. But yeah, so they've managed to live off that income for a while. But there's rising rental costs, and then Sean was has sustained a couple injuries, having to do with his shoulder and his back with a car accident and falling down, and it's just one thing after another. And so, right now, the immediate need is just paying rent, paying for food, and then hopefully in the future he's hoping to take care of certain issues with his shoulder, with his back. He's going to need surgery, I believe. He's got several teeth that need to be basically replaced, and so all of this stuff is causing him pain and making it hard to function. But the thing is, it's like right now what we're focused on is just trying to get them to survive month to month. They get right now. I mean, right now he gets. I believe he gets paid on the first of every month, and it's only the 11th. It's only the 11th of March, and thankfully there's been an influx of giving to the GoFundMe. I think so. It looks like we're at 673. I think maybe even just like last week. Oh, I think we're getting donations. That's awesome. But I think just last week we might have been at like 200 or something like that, and I think they only had like, I think less than 500 in the bank left, and so we're just like scrambling, thinking, what can we do? We were trying to get people just to give as much as possible, and I was, just posting everywhere, hoping that that we can get at least like $5 from every person that sees the GoFundMe. And I think I went live last week sometime, and your brother in Christ was like, hey, why don't we do a fundraiser on my channel? And I'm like, hey, that's a good idea, because he has a few more subscribers than I do. So we were wanting to just do what we can to help this family. Sean, personally, to me, has been a huge blessing. I found out about him through What Do You Meme, John McCrae. We were both Patreon supporters. The first time I met him was in the very first Patreon hangout that John had run, which I believe was in 2019. This is back when YouTube was still using Google Hangouts to bring people in together. And so John had a private live stream, an unlisted live stream that he had. So all the Patreon supporters were able to come into the chat, and then John actually invited whoever wanted to come join the Google Hangout. And at that time, it was only me and Sean. So we got to hang out, and I believe Vocab, Malone, and David Wood were hanging out with John at the same time in his place, because they were filming stuff. I believe it was the Muhammad and R. Kelly skits that they were doing, if I recall. But that's the very first time I met Sean, and then I learned about his channel, Believing Thinkers, through that. Ended up subscribing, going to the live streams, and he ended up making me and a bunch of other people mods. And for whatever reason, he's always appreciated that we were there in the channel, just watching the content, supporting him, and he wanted to give back to those of us that he saw, like he felt that was serving the apologetics community on YouTube, as moderators and whatnot. And so there was a few of us that he would actually train through Zoom in issues dealing with philosophy, epistemology, and whatnot. And I'm not a very good student, but I tried to learn as much as I could anyway. And Sean was preparing these lessons for us on Zoom week after week after week. I mean, that's like several weeks. I'm sure it's more than the time that we spent with Sean through these classes. I'm sure it was more than equal to at least a semester of like regular coursework. And it's funny because I remember recently, I was in an apologetics group on Facebook, and there was a kind of question coming up about making arguments, and the difference between a valid and a sound argument and things like that. And I was like, oh, you know what? I actually learned about this from Sean, and I engaged, and I was like, oh, actually, I was actually correct in the way I was engaging. And that's specifically because Sean took the time for free to actually teach me and a bunch of us, just how to reason, how to think, and which is what his channel is, Believing Thinkers. They focus on the rational side of Christianity, and so the tagline that Sean has is, I think, we're believing thinkers. We're loving God with all our minds. I think that's how it goes. And so I can't tell you like just how much time that he put in to teaching us, just because he wanted to give back to us, those of us who were supporting his channel. And it's like, to me, I felt like all I was doing was coming to his channel, and and basically learning from him, through the live streams and videos that he posted. But for some reason, he felt like he needed to give back just because I was there with my Blue Wrench, quote unquote, moderating. And I don't feel like I was really doing anything. But this is the kind of person that Sean is, and he just appreciated us for being there. And I think there's a lot of people, like, I haven't been looking at the comments, but I see D News there, and I know Roxby has benefited from his lessons. And those of you who've watched What Do You Meme? I mean, for a while, Sean was answering emails for John, or helping him answer emails that was sent to the What Do You Meme ministry, I think, just because you can imagine when John's channel blew up, there's going to be a lot of emails that need to be answered. So Sean was able to kind of help answer some of the questions that were coming in. And so if you have ever emailed What Do You Meme, like from I think 2019 to I forget when, there's a good chance that you were helped out by Sean. And Sean did this all for free. Again, he just wanted to help. He's just wanted to serve the kingdom. And that's exactly why he started his channel. If you look at the description from the GoFundMe, you'll see that he's spent a lot of time after he left the army. I mean, I basically devoted his time raising his family and serving the kingdom however he could. And so, right now, because they've been dealing with a lot, again, they haven't been active on the channel. The hope is once they can we can maybe hopefully get into a better situation, maybe rental costs get lowered, or whatever, whatever is according to God's will and God's plan, obviously. We're hoping that they can get back into doing what they love doing, being on his channel, putting up content, doing live streams and whatnot, and just equipping Christians to know how to defend their faith, to understand their faith, to understand how to think. And so that's why we're here today. Hopefully that was all clear. I'm probably gonna watch this back later and be like, oh, I just went everywhere and confused everyone. But no, Sean and Erika, they're great people, and it's been wonderful getting to know them. And I've just been it's been really hard just to see how much they've been struggling, and because they've given so much to so many people. And I think behind the scenes, a lot of people probably don't even realize how much they do. But yeah, so that's just hopefully you get an idea of who they are. So I don't know what is I don't know. Does anyone have any questions, or your brother in Christ? Do you have some ideas of what we can do to entertain the people while we try to hopefully raise some funds?
Well, we've got a few things we can hit. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've talked. No, I'm sorry, Nate. You're fantastic way of explaining it. Thank you for letting us know. Really giving us a good breakdown. Fantastic breakdown. A couple of things real quick here. Again, donate. We're up $100 from when we started, at least when I recorded it. So fantastic. One of the things that's so amazing about doing apologetics is, I guess a little background on me. I run my own company. So I'm self-employed, and I'm in that sort of corporate environment where it's cutthroat and it's competitive, and you want to make sure that you edge out the other guy. You got to make sure you get the bid in and get the contract. Apologetics isn't that way, and by design, and it's fantastic because we're all doing our own thing. We're all focusing on the same goal. we're actually all in the same company. You could think of it that way, where God is the boss and we're just here all working for the same goal. So it doesn't matter. In fact, that's the inspiration for my YouTube channel was Your Brother in Christ, because it can be any brother in Christ as long as the message of God is being preached. I don't care. And that gives us the opportunities like today where we can come in together and really help each other out. Just join together as a family. So I know I got some scriptures to go through. We'll probably do some history, talk about history because that's kind of my thing. And then I'm thinking we've also got some unboxing, don't we, Nate?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
So I'm not sure when you wanted to hit that unboxing. If you want to go ahead and hit that now, then we can go into scriptures and we can just chat, do some history stuff. And of course, the whole time we're doing this, it's open to Q&A. It's open to any questions, any topics you guys want to hit or talk about. We'll go ahead and cover that. But I'm going to switch myself off, put it fully on you, Nate, if you want to do this unboxing.
Sure. Let's do it. Get my knife. So, your brother in Christ's wife, El-Iaso Elohim, I don't know if her link is anywhere, but she has a merch store. And so about a year ago, there was actually a sort of a birthday surprise that was done for me on Real Reviews with SOCM, on which I am a panelist. We do movie reviews from a Christian perspective. And what Elle had done for me was actually she had drawn a version of me as Doctor Who, and I'm actually wearing the hoodie. Look, he's peeking right there. So this is me as Doctor Who with the blue wrench, because I'm a moderator. That's what everyone knows me for. And so on her merch store, she has actually posted or put some stuff based on this character that is me. And so I'm still waiting on.
I don't know what happened to him. He seems to have disappeared. No, I'm left all alone. Oh no! Are you back?
There I am. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. You froze.
That was weird.
You disappeared, and I'm saying you're doing a jig because I got nothing.
Okay, well,
So
I'm back. I'm back. That was really weird. I was so confused. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so sorry. So I got this. I'm unboxing it. I'm seeing this for the first time. I kind of suspected I knew what this was, but hold on. I don't want to break this.
Is that what I think it is? I want to collect them all if it is what I think it is. I'm going to collect them all and put a shelf up behind me.
Oh, it's a mug.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully, let's see if you can see this. With me on it. Your life is a gift of God. And there's me with a wrench coming out of the TARDIS. For those of you who don't know, I always like to come into into live chat saying gift of God has arrived. And to be clear, that isn't just because I'm prideful and think I'm all that. My full name is Nathaniel, which actually does mean gift of God. So, is there a scripture in here? I can't even. No, it just says NATE2D2, I think. It says, sorry, NATE2D2 and made by, I don't know if you can see that, El-Iaso Elohim. And I love this. This is so awesome. Now I can be on live streams and drink and be like, look, it's me. Or it's me. So this is the one thing. This is the first thing I got. I got one more. I'm still waiting on two things in the mail. Unfortunately, they didn't come today. What's that?
I love the mugs.
The mugs are,
I want to collect them all. I know she's got David Wood.
I do too, yeah.
Vocab. She's got. We gave a special one to David Wood, a special mug to David Wood.
Was it a one of a kind?
Well, so far it is, because I don't think she's put it up yet. So, It'll eventually be up.
So I got this thing. Wait, okay. I don't want to make sure my address is not showing. I wonder what this is. I wonder what this is. Ugh. But yes, these are. I think I want to collect them all too. They're amazing. I think the merch store is in the description box. They all have a similar kind of design in the box, so it's collect them all, display them, and be very happy.
Yeah, I think the one that
mystery
that David has is a unique one only for him.
Dope.
So
okay,
we'll see if he ever opens the box.
Oh! Look at this. It's a pillow. The same art. I love this. And I specifically chose navy. I think it was navy blue because I was like, oh, that's TARDIS blue, and it's like a perfect. I think it's a perfect color for the Doctor Who theme. And so I love this. I'm gonna put this in my my nerd kingdom, whatever, my nerd castle. Ugh. I gotta figure out this label, but this is pretty comfortable too. I like this. Look at that. I can put it up somewhere. But yes, thank you to El ISO Elohim for all making me into merch. So buy it. It's look at that. Look at that design. Like how is it that I find myself in somebody's artwork like that to be somebody's inspiration that way? That is so cool. Like I was when they did the video surprising me with this picture, I was just floored and humbled and embarrassed because I'm not worth all that. But look at me. So look, I'm buying stuff with my face on it. So you probably all think I'm very self-absorbed. No, go buy it. It's in the description box. But yes, so that's all I have to unbox for today. Unfortunately, there's a couple more things. I forget. I think I got a shirt and an accessory pouch thingy, maybe. But maybe I'll do an unboxing on my channel when they come. Cool. But back to you.
No, those are pretty cool. I'm always curious whenever we do those sort of online stores, what the quality is, how good they actually are. So it's cool. Those are cool to see, and my wife does amazing art. So
I agree.
Maybe she doesn't need to do Believing Thinkers.
Yes, that would be awesome.
So we'll go ahead and go into this scripture they asked me to do context on. This is off of the one that I did the breakdown of Black Hebrew Israelites when we were down there all together. So, Nate, do you have a Bible with you?
I can go grab one. Oh, do you have a particular version that you like?
Anyone. I'm not picky. I normally do NIV, but I normally do cross-reference. So I'll do probably 5 or 6 Bibles I'll pull out and make sure the verse says basically the same thing if I'm going to be teaching on it.
Yeah.
Throughout all of them, because again, if you're translating from one language into another, it's not always straight. You can't do a direct translation very easily. I know I've read Greek direct translations before, and they are a pain. So the ESV, okay.
Yeah, ESV Study Bible, yes.
So, hey, welcome.
Hey, Michelle Turner. My co-panelist.
There we go. Let's see here. It's been a while since I've been on the real reviews. I've been doing mostly the new movies, and I don't get to the movie theater very often. So we have Believing Thinkers in the room. We have Carm. Hey. We have D-New. We have, of course, Eliso Elohim.
Al should do a merch for D-New that says the old has gone, D-New is here. I think that would be awesome. She should do a character of D-New. I don't know what she would be as, but I think that would be cool. I think that would get a lot. That would get a lot of purchases. A D-New on a shirt.
D-New.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Not sure why, Carm, but for some reason YouTube decided they didn't like your face. So they decided to hold that face for review. And I'm like, what? What? Out of all the things YouTube decides to hold for reviews in my live chat, that?
An emoji?
Really? An emoji?
Crazy. A single emoji?
My wife is agreeing with us. Why?
Pretty soon you won't be able to just put in the letter T because it looks too much like a cross or something.
Oh, no. They can make fun of Christians all they want. Well, unless you're saying they're trying to edit out Christians, which, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck in spelling Nate.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's see. Okay, so the Bible verse that they asked me to review on there after they tell me I don't know anything about the church. So it is Acts 7, verse 38. Yeah, that pulled up.
I can. I'm going there right now. Acts 7. Oops. 738. I keep just missing it. 738. Okay. Hold on. I'm almost there. I got like butterfingers. Wait, is that a thing? Besides the candy? 738. Acts 738. Where art thou? Here we go. Acts 7:38. I'll do this. I'm not as good as SOC, but hopefully this will be good. This is the one who was in the congregation in the wilderness with the angel who spoke to him at Mount Sinai with our fathers. He received living oracles to give us.
Okay, first of all, it starts off with he. If you're trying to do any sort of study on a scripture that someone pulls out and says, well, this means X, Y, Z, if you're double checking it, first of all, you got to find out who he is. So would you mind rewinding just one verse, I believe it is, if memory serves? And he addresses who this is. Yes, one verse.
One verse, okay. 37. This is the Moses who said to the Israelites, God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your brothers.
So he's referring to, in the scripture, the speaker is referring to Moses. He's quoting Old Testament in order to, and I'll get into this context a little bit more of why I'm saying this, as a witness for Christ. He's saying, this is who has come. This is who is here. Now, this is the Apostle Stephen speech to the Sanhedrin. So he's talking to Jews. He's addressing Jews. So we got to look in the context of who he's talking to. So he's talking to the Jews, which would be very familiar with the Old Testament. And he's basically saying, hey, this is what has happened. This is who has come. This is what they were talking about back here in the Old Testament. Of course, shortly afterwards, they stone him. So, it didn't last very long, but tried to get his point across. So that was the scripture they wanted me to give the context on. So Stephen giving a speech to the Sanhedrin before he was executed. And if memory serves, isn't that when Paul was standing there? At the stoning of Stephen.
Yeah. So
Paul was standing there, which also, again, this is how things go for me. I start digging in a little bit, and it just sucks me in. And Paul standing there approving of the stoning of Stephen. Not a good look for someone who eventually writes a good portion of the New Testament. But this is also gives credence to the theory that when Paul was talking about the thorn in his side, he was not referring to a physical ailment. He was actually referring to guilt or shame about what he did. I mean, he brought these Christians to execution. So, and this is one of those cases that would have been very plain in his mind at the time. So I think what we're going to do is let's go ahead and check in on the GoFundMe. That's the screen. There we go. Oh, good. We're up to 800. Fantastic.
Nice.
So we've gone up a bit. Let's see if we can lift it up any higher.
Let's see if we can get to 1,000 before
1,000
the
was great.
stream.
Well, see,
awesome.
I asked Nate before we started, hey, did you want to do like a set time or do you want to do a set amount? Like we keep streaming till we hit that amount. I mean, hey, it's a Saturday for me. I can go all night long and only have minor repercussions tomorrow. Mostly I'll be sleeping on the couch because I might be thrown there. But hey, it's for a good cause, so hey, I'll be willing to do it. Yeah, the couch is kind of comfy anyway. So we're up to there. Fantastic. Okay. So let me put on the Q&A banner I have. Because it is Q&A during this whole thing. So Nate.
What, if we make 2,000, maybe I might sing something.
Ooh. I don't know if I want that on my channel. Well, hey, I've sung on my channel before, so hey, it can't be any worse than that.
We probably won't make 2,000 anyway. I'm sad. No. But hey.
Hey, if you want 2,000, if you want to hear Nate sing on this video, yes, make sure you share. Get this out on Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Get this out in front of everyone so we can get this awareness out. This is an opportunity for us to come together as family. And I think this is a great opportunity. And a lot of Christians get the mentality, well, I don't want to ask for help. I don't want to take away from people. I don't want to subtract from that. You know, and it might be a bit of a pride thing sometimes. Sometimes it's just, well, like, I don't, you know, it's not really that big of a deal. But you know what? This is an opportunity for each of us to step up. This is an opportunity for us to show the light. So you can think of it in that way. If you are struggling, if you are in trouble, asking for help from another Christian is giving them an opportunity to shine the light of Christ. It's giving them an opportunity to stand up. And that is a great gift on its own, is the opportunity to be the light. So, hey, Jordan joined. I know Jordan popped in for a little bit on my last stream, and then I think he ducked out of there as fast as possible. I don't blame him. My last live stream, I would have wanted to duck out too. I was covering an uncomfortable topic. I almost vomited once on live stream, so there's that. We won't get into that here because that is uncomfortable. So, NATE2D2, what is next for you? Let me ask you that.
What is next for me? Well, I am actually going to be on a special episode of Real Reviews with SOCM on, I believe, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We remember to change your clocks Saturday night, guys. We're changing times, unless you're in Arizona or Hawaii. But we're going to do a special review of The Batman, which just came out. So that should be fun. So you all tune in. Subscribe to Real Reviews with SOCM. That's REEL, Reviews with SOCM. And you know what? Be sure to actually go back in the archives too to watch when your brother in Christ was on there, because that was a lot of fun. And,
that was
and
so
hilarious.
Awkward.
Yeah,
that was so awkward.
Yeah, that was so funny because we were you loved the movie so much, and so many of us were like, eh.
Well, me and SOC were like the only ones who were like, yeah, we like this movie. Everyone else was like, man, the movie sucked. It was horrible. And we're sitting there, I'm sitting there, I'm the guest on there, like, what am I supposed to do? We have not had this happen before. All the other movies they like agree upon, and then I show up. And I'm like the one that's got to stand up and say, "No, I like this movie."
That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that.
Hey, El, can you go grab his link and throw it on in there in the chat for real reviews? So yeah, we were doing Chronicles of Riddick was the one I joined because I saw it and I was like, "Oh, I love that movie."
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't actually like a terrible movie, but I think it's. I actually just watched it for that review, so I think I was expecting more because I'd heard other people say that it was like a decent film. Like I think when you know what it is, it's fun. But I was expecting something else. So, but it's always fun to kind of disagree with SOC, and also just to kind of roast the guest a little as well.
Yeah, put me on the burner. Woo. I didn't like Twilight either. Well, neither did I. I was not much a fan of Twilight, nor the Hunger Games series. I like the first Hunger Games, but I had a lot of issues, and that comes from doing way too much with writing.
I thought that was okay.
There we go.
Games.
Thank you, El. Fantastic. So I just didn't like that there weren't, and it really wasn't any character progression. It was the same story over and over again. Basically. There's a little bit, but at the end, there really wasn't any massive character development. The main character was still the same.
Huh.
And I wanted to see more of a change in the character. I thought there were a couple times that there was a great opportunity for that, and she kind of fell flat. But
I need to watch that series again and see. Look at this. We're having our own little like mini real reviews.
I read the books, so
you read the okay.
And then I was like, I don't even want to watch the movie. I read the books, and the books sucked. At least the last two did, definitely. Because there was opportunity for change, and they missed it by this much. So. Oh my gosh. Really?
I think that's true, yeah.
Still getting over this throat thing.
Throat thing, huh? That's no fun.
Yeah, well. Oh well, I was hoping I was over it by now.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Mute myself whenever I have to cough. That's about it.
I might just cough in the mic if I need to. Oops. What did I just do?
Okay. So.
Do we have any cues that need A-ing?
Any cues that need A-ing? That's a good question. Oh, there we go. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
I am going to go grab a drink. I will be right back.
Okay. You go grab your drink. I got my drink right here. Okay, everyone. Oh, okay. See you later, Jordan. Bon appetit. Enjoy your dinner. So let's see how well the GoFundMe's doing. I'm gonna check it on my phone. I think we're still at 800. So you can see the link to the GoFundMe pinned at the top. We're doing this for believing thinkers who's struggling right now financially. So give what you can. If we reach, we're at 800 right now. If we reach 2,000, I might sing. Who knows?
I'll hold you to that.
I'll sing some open public domain song that won't get you a copyright strike. Maybe a hymn.
Oh, they love giving me copyright strikes all the time.
I bet they
I just
do.
thought I just ignore them. It's
I
not like
mean
they're
it.
paying me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if I could give you a copyright strike, I would. So I totally understand why they love
Wow.
doing that.
I just must have a target on the back of my head.
Well, yes, you do. It's you can't see it, but it's there. I saw it in a Doctrine for the Block.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, look at
And
that target.
it's probably my wife. Well, my wife put it on my back when I wasn't looking. Sounds like something she would do.
Does she cut your hair?
What?
Does she cut your hair?
Yes, she does.
You should check the back with a mirror because there's a little target shaved into the back of your head.
Well, if you would have said heart, I would have believed you.
It
She's
well,
threatened
it's
so many
it's a
times
target. It's a heart shaped target. It's a
to
heart shaped
shave a
target.
heart in the back of my head.
Heart shaped target. Pew pew.
She did that to my to our oldest son. She shaved a dinosaur in the
I
side of his
saw
head.
that a little T Rex.
Yeah, it
That was
looked
cute.
good until everyone started asking if he was okay. Like, why? It looks like he's got brain surgery. Like, oh my gosh, we can't ever do that again. It looks horrible. After it started growing over it, couldn't even tell anymore.
That's true. Hair does grow back, but it
Eventually,
was cute. It was cute. Did you say
it was
potentially?
very cute. It was very, very cute.
It was very
I love my
cute.
boy.
I love your boy too. That
And
might
he
sound
loves you,
creepy to
by
some
the way.
people. Does he? Does he though? Does he even remember me?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Does he though?
He remembers you. He remembers vocab. He remembers Dr. Dizzle.
Dr. Dizzle.
Dr. Dizzle. He's added them to his nightly prayers. In fact,
Oh,
so he prays every night for him.
yeah. Pray for
And
Dr.
that was on
Dizzle.
his request. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll put them in too. So fantastic.
Excellent.
So, what topics do you want to hit? Maybe we should do some educational stuff.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm not very educated.
Okay,
So,
let's do my
um,
specialty. Give
yeah,
me a
let's do
time
your
period.
specialty. A time period. Oh, okay.
Time period
Um,
in history. Let's hit that.
time
Let's
period
see
in
if I
his.
can do
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. 100 BC.
100 BC. Area.
Um, Macedonia.
Macedonia. Okay, not hard. Not hard. So 100 BC. So that time period would have been. It would have been the dark spot in the Bible history. This is in the silent period, the 400-year silent period.
Sure. Sure.
So we don't have the Bible to fall back on. Mesopotamia. So that would have been. You would have had the Romans coming in at that time. You would have had the breakup from Alexander the Great. So you would have had his generals still controlling it. So you had a general down in Egypt, a general in Mesopotamia area, general over Greece area, but Greece would have been taken over by that point because of the Romans' expansion, taking them over. So that's basically what sort of an equilibrium. I mean, there were rebellions, but there was about it until the Romans came in, just annihilated the remainder of the Greek Empire. Remember, Alexander the Great started in obviously Greece. Started there, took over, went through the Middle East, took over Egypt, went all the way into India, into the Indian Sea, and that's where he found the ocean and cried. Because there's no more land for him to take over. He was a great conqueror. He was not a great ruler. And there is a difference.
Hmm.
Because if he can't rule anything, that's why shortly right after his death, it fell apart. There was no establishing principle there. So, but through his expansion, we saw this establishment of critical thinking, which was critical to us being able to have the Bible. There's also the spread of the Greek language, which established it throughout that region. Which again, when Rome came and invaded, they still had the Greek language. That's why the New Testament is written in Greek primarily. When Rome came through, they were good. Rome was great at two things. Really, absolutely fantastic at two things. One, killing people. Two, building roads. So when Rome came over and took over that entire area, they established travel, which again, once we had the gospel and we were spreading it, again, these people had to walk a lot of the places they went. Travel was a lot safer and a lot quicker because of the roads the Romans built. And they still stand today. Many of the Roman roads still stand to this day, which I wish we would be able to replicate. Let's be honest. Considering how many potholes are out there right now and how much we have to fix it basically every year. So there you go. 100 BC. Mesopotamia. There you go.
Did I say Mesopotamia? Or did I say Macedonia? I don't even remember now.
I don't remember. I went Mesopotamia. So.
Hello, Corinth's
Hey! Welcome. We're doing a fundraiser.
Yep. Corinth is well acquainted with Believing Thinkers. He's a regular on that channel as well.
Fantastic. So we're here to help them out in any way we can. Let it be a small amount, a large amount. Whatever we can help out, we will. So.
And if we raise enough, I might sing.
Yes, we get a wonderful song from the NATE2D2.
I don't promise that it'll be wonderful, but I promise I might sing. I definitely maybe might sing. If we reach 2,000.
I can always mute you if it gets too bad.
This is true.
Save my people.
And then you might have to give more to get him to unmute. So.
Or pay me more to keep it mute.
That's true. We could do a. Oh, we can put in the comments either, or have them put in the comments when they donate, and see how much we raise either to mute or to unmute. We just have to tally it up. So because you can leave a comment when you give to GoFundMe. So just say giving to mute or giving to unmute.
Well, that's after
just like
2,000 mark, right?
Yeah, that's true. We have to hit 2,000, and then I will start singing, or I might start singing, and then people can start giving to either keep the mic unmuted or to keep the mic muted. It's like my church. I think we did kind of did that. What is that No Shave November kind of thing? And then there was this. I think there was two different charities that was set up. I think through a website. And I think so the men had grown out the beards, and then after a certain point, I think people were donating to one charity or another, either to shave or to save the beard or shave the beard. And so if the wives didn't like their husband's beards, they donated to shave it. If they liked it, they donated to save it. So it was like, okay, which one can we do? So to mute or not to mute?
That is the
question. It's your choice. That is the question.
No, I know exactly where my wife would be with that no shave. That's for sure. I know exactly where she would be with that. And let's be honest, I look way too young if I shaved.
Or do you?
I lose like 10 years.
Interesting.
I dropped 10 years, and I already look young to begin with.
You do look young to begin with.
I'll be like, oh man, I'm not a teenager. Because the work I do, I work with a lot of older guys, and that's why I started with the beard, because when I started, I was 18 when I started, and I looked like I was like 16. And
oh, hello.
Oh no! Oh,
Look at that. Look at that. You're like,
Oh yeah, drop
yeah.
it. Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
guys
Oh
think?
yeah.
What do you guys think? How old does he look here? How old does he look here? It's like it's your son.
Yeah. It could be.
Excellent.
Told you, 10, 15 years, man. It drops it real quick.
Well, I guess in the future you can shave it to look younger once you don't like your age. So that's an option.
Hey, if I my hair goes like grays like my grandfather's did, that'd be pretty cool. On my dad's side, he's got like racing stripes. Yeah, like racing
Oh,
stripes right here.
racing
These right
stripes.
here got gray. The rest stayed darker, longer. So he's got like
Interesting.
racing stripes going. I was like, oh man, that is awesome. That is so cool looking. Like, I hope I got those genetics. We'll find out.
You can just dye it white.
I go with diet.
Dye it white.
Some people diet to get rid of the gray. I do it to bring it out.
Just for men. Touch of gray.
Oh, new advertisement. There you go. Endorsed by the NATE2D2.
Booyah! Just gonna keep this up for the remainder of the stream so that we can compare. Hey, look at me. I'm your baby brother in Christ. How you doing?
How long ago was that stream?
What stream?
The picture you got. How long ago
This
was
picture?
that?
This
Yeah.
one? I just took it.
Oh, you took it? You
I
erased
just took
the
it.
beard?
Huh? Yeah. I used Snapchat. See? The
Yeah,
Q
it
there's
looks
the A right
like
there.
it.
See? See?
Looks like it. I've done that before where I've shaved.
So you thought this was actually like from an actual like from one of your YouTube videos?
I thought it was. I was like, wow.
And you just happened to be
That's
wearing the
cool.
same clothes and everything too. Look at that.
Well,
And I was there with you. You can see the NATE2D2 is right there.
that wouldn't be
That's
the
a pretty
first
good
time
filter.
we've been together.
That's a pretty good filter. I fooled you. I fooled you. But yes, we're here to support, or we're here to raise funds for believing thinkers. So please go to the GoFundMe. It should be pinned at the top. If it's not, I can put it in the chat again. Oh, somebody, I think we just got another donation. What is it? Oh. My phone GoFundMe just died. It's just a white screen now. Look at that.
Oh
I don't know
no.
what happened.
The death of GoFundMe. We
The
broke
death
it.
of GoFundMe.
We broke it.
But we broke GoFundMe. But I am going to put the link there. Link in the chat. I think I reset GoFundMe. Oh, why is it saying 673? That's weird. Oh, 825. Somebody gave $25. Nice.
There we go.
Thank you to the person who gave $25. It is appreciated. Now we are $25 closer to a song.
Singing NATE2D2.
So I don't know if that's what you want, but I could always muffle myself with a pillow.
Very fancy pillow.
It's very fancy. It's very just like squeezing it. Look at that. Look at me. Oops. It's on this side, sorry. Squeeze. Squeeze. Skin. Fat. Skinny. Fat. Skinny. Fat. Skinny. I'm catfishing. What does that mean? I forget what that means.
I'm not sure. It's probably a term I don't use. And I use some really old terms.
I bet you do. What's the oldest term that you use?
Knee slapper, I've used that. I don't know, because I don't see them as being old. I just use them. And they're like,
Even
wow,
though
you talk like you're so old. I'm like, I just use the terms.
Do you say consarn it? Dag
Consarn it?
nabbit.
Dang
Dag
nabbit,
nabbit.
I do. Dang nabbit, I do. Quite a bit.
Dag nabbit. What's another old expression? I think I heard that cool. The term cool is actually a lot older than we realize.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
it's cool outside right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. Sure.
It is. It was snowing.
Snowing where you are?
Yep, we got snow. It was raining earlier. Now it's snowing.
Nice. Snow in March. You know what's funny? One time we had snow in April, which is unusual for us. I think it's unusual for most places in the U.S. But what was funny was, and I think that video might actually still be on my channel somewhere. It was what was it? It was the day where everyone was supposed to like turn off their lights for like 1 hour. It's like a global warming thing where I know people have different views on that, but it was like, okay, turn off. I forget what it's called, but you turn off your lights for 1 hour supposedly for global warming or whatever. Anyway, and so it snowed on that day. So I made a video where I'm like, hey everyone, look, it worked. It's snowing in April. And I think some people left some angry comments or something like, that's not, what you don't understand is because blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, it was a joke. Like,
it's a joke. Just take
it was a
the
joke. Get over yourself.
Have fun.
Please. Okay is pretty old. Is that so? Okay. That's okay. What is the origins of okay? Earth Day. It was called something else.
It might be. Might have been.
It was
Earth
not.
Day.
I forget what it was called. It was like big on YouTube. Earth Day. It wasn't Earth Day though, because Earth Day's been around. But I forget what it's called now. 1 hour, no light. 1 hour. 1 hour with no light. I forget. But I mean, it might have been on Earth Day. I don't know, but I forget what it was. It was called something. Something catchy. So everyone's like, I'm going to turn off my lights for 1 whole hour and then, not produce carbon, which I don't think actually works in my area anyway, because I think our utility is not technically carbon. Well, I think they're virtually carbon free. I think technically the use of our electricity in our area, I think does supposedly require, I don't know, burning of coal or something, but it's like technically bought power purchased from someone else, I guess. I don't know. But so yeah, if it's about carbon footprint, I think in our area it doesn't really do that much.
What are the term they're using? Weather change?
Weather change?
Catastrophe?
Weather catastrophe?
No, the history behind that's interesting. They've changed that more times than I've changed my socks.
Ew.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not literal. Don't take it literally. It was a joke.
Ew. Oops. Here's something interesting we can discuss while everyone goes to the GoFundMe and gives, so I can sing and then maybe you can mute me. How about the phrase "how come"? That's an interesting phrase. Why did it basically means why, right? Like how come? Why? How come? Like what is that? What is that? Is that short for like how come to you to this conclusion, or how come it to be this? Is that what does it mean? Why is how come? Because I heard this joke about I forget, it was somebody, I think it was somebody from a foreign country came and then they did something weird. They crossed the street weird or something, and so like their friends were like, how come? And he's like, I came through I don't know, China Airlines or something like that. Because it's like, how did you come? That's how they interpreted it. How come? It's like, no, why did you do that? Is what they were being asked. But it's like, I never really thought of it. You just take for granted the phrase how come. Oh, I just did this. How come? Oh, I took a car here. No. Why did you do that? So, does anyone know? Your brother in Christ, do you know why do we say how come when we're just asking why?
No, I do not. But I know a bunch about the English language. Very interesting language. Its development. It's a real mix of history. So you've got so might as well cover it while we're on it. So you got Anglo-Saxon language originally, vastly different than what we talk right now. If you went back in time to 1500s, you wouldn't be able to talk very easily with an Englishman, someone from the English area. You wouldn't be able to talk with them very easily because they wouldn't. The language has changed so much. That's one of the things with like sci-fi. You got Doctor Who being able to time travel now. They explain why they're able to understand all languages. But if you didn't have that explanation, the hand waving, why you were able to do it, you would have an extremely hard time having a conversation 200, 300 years back. Because again, our language is always developing. It's always changing. So we see back in, so you'd have Anglo-Saxon, their language, you could say dog ate cat and cat ate dog. And it would be the suffix that would determine how that sentence needs to be put together. So, but nowadays it would be dog ate cat, because you could say cat dog ate. And counting on where you put that ending on what word, it would mean that they're the ones being eaten. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. So you had that. You had William the Conqueror come through in 1066. Came through. Are you familiar with William the Conqueror?
I am not. I've heard the name, but I might be more familiar than I realize. I know if you say some stuff, it might jog my memory.
Okay. William the Conqueror was a descendant of Vikings who lived in Normandy. Basically, the reason why they were living there and not up in either Sweden or Norway or Denmark was because the French were getting tired of being raided. So the French king said, hey, you Vikings, you group of Vikings, come down here, guard right here where it's an important river going right into Paris. We'll give you a chunk of land. You guys can basically run your own show. You got to pay me a little bit, taxes, but you can basically run your own show here. As long as you make sure the other Vikings don't kill us. So you had a bunch of Vikings come down, settle in that area in Normandy. Eventually, William was born. He had a claim to the Kingdom of England, allegedly. Basically, the former king, one of the kings of England, came down into Normandy when he was exiled. Gave the promise, said, hey, William, allegedly, he said, hey, you can be the next king after I'm done. And came back up. Allegedly, he also made that same promise to Harold out in up in the Scandinavian area, another Viking, Harold, which is considered the last Viking. He was, I'll just refer to him as Viking because there are actually two Harolds in the story. He was promised that he would become king, at least that's what he claims. Well, that king died in England. His son inherited it. He was also, again, Harold. So we'll call him King Harold to distinguish between the Viking and him. So he knew that William the Conqueror, William from Normandy, was going to be coming over. And he said, oh, we'll be here, we're ready to defend. So he's in southern England, ready to defend when William the Conqueror comes over. He gets word that, hey, the Viking dude just landed up north. You got to get your butt up north. So he hard marches his people all the way up north in order to battle against the Viking who came over. The Viking left all of his stupid move, left all of his gear back. He thought the English were stuck down south, weren't going to be able to get up there. He left all of his gear back on his ships. He went and had a nice little frolic with his people out in the countryside. So he's just there having a good old time, taking a nap, and the king of England shows up with his army and attacks. According to history, the last Viking, took to the fight with bare hands. It didn't go so well. They were wiped out, and that was the end of the Viking Age. Of course, as soon as he got his word, say, "Hey, you won! Fantastic, good job." Yeah, the wind's down south, changed direction, and William the Conqueror is here. Can go back down south and deal with him. So he hard marches his guys back down south in time for the battle down there. They get set up. They're ready to start battling, and an arrow takes him out. A random arrow got shot in his eye, and he takes him out. Boom, done. That's the death of the last Anglo-Saxon king of England. Then William won the day, and basically after that, all resistance collapsed. He was the only one left to claim the throne. So he went ahead and went through and conquered, replaced all the nobility with French men. So you would have a sort of a class system going on where you would have the French language be the language of the aristocracy, the nobles, they're all speaking French. And then you have the common people who speak current version of English at the time. So that's where we see a real change in the English language, because if you have ever noticed, and I live on a farm, so this is very apparent to me, and this is always a question in the back of my mind, is why do we call beef, but it comes from a cow? And we call pig pork or ham, but it comes from a pig. And deer is venison. What's up with that? Why do we have these different ones? And then, of course, you got chicken, which chicken is chicken. Why? Why is chicken chicken? And everything else has another name for the meat. Why is that? Even lamb or sheep, and lamb doesn't come from baby sheep, by the way. It's a misnomer. I don't know why people keep believing that. It comes from full-grown sheep, but it's called lamb, no matter what the age is of the sheep that you process. So why? And that goes back to what I was talking about when William the Conqueror came through and established the French nobility. You would have the poor peasants give up their animals, their expensive animals, and sell it to the nobles. So it's a cow when it's in the pasture, but it's beef when it gets to the table, because it was the French word for it. So the same with venison, because it was the nobles were the ones that were able to hunt, or you sold the meat to the nobility. And then chicken, no one liked chicken, it was cheap. So it was a common person's food, so we didn't get a second name for it.
What about duck?
Duck's duck. Again, poor. It's interesting language development. Interesting snidbits in history. Snidbits.
Tidbits. And then isn't lamb mutton? Isn't that what they call it? Mutton chops.
Mutton chops. I'm getting hungry.
Fun. You haven't had dinner yet? Oh yeah,
I'm getting hungry.
It's 8 your time? 8:10 your time?
It's 8:10 my time. Yep.
Fun fact, when you were talking about William the Conqueror, I'm like, I wonder if that's what the Doctor Who story, The Time Meddler, might have been around that time. I looked it up. It takes place 1066, because I know there was Vikings in that one. Have you seen that? Have you seen that one? You probably haven't. Have you seen Classic Who? You've seen all Classic Who?
Classic Who? Yeah. Oh yeah, Classic Who. Yes. The newer ones up until the old guy showed up.
See, I like the old guy. I know a lot of people didn't see the old guy, but I like the
I
old guy.
watched like a couple episodes into him when they changed over his assistant to the lesbian. Yeah, it got too preachy.
You think so?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe a little bit, but I think for me, I mean, in Doctor Who's always been a little bit, I mean, preachy on the kind of liberal side anyway. But it still worked for me. I mean, I re-went and rewatched like all of Doctor Who, like all of it, anything that was available, or listened if it was only available as a because there's several missing episodes from the classic series that you can only listen to. But anyway, I have to say, old guy. I mean, Peter Capaldi, Matt Smith, both of them. I think that producer Stephen Moffat as a whole, in my opinion, is probably the strongest that Doctor Who has been, including Classic Who. I mean, it had its issues, but I think watching it as a whole, when I rewatched it without having to wait like hiatus in between, I enjoyed it more. Like I had some issues with Peter Capaldi's time, especially towards the end. It did feel like it was time for Stephen Moffat to leave. But when I rewatched it, I'm like, hey, you know what? If you can just binge it, it's actually it's fun. I will say for the new current era of Doctor Who, it's been disappointing to me.
Yeah,
so
yeah. My whole family was a big Doctor Who fan. I mean, we went and watched the Day of the Doctor. We went and watched.
Oh, you saw it in the theaters?
Oh yeah,
3D glasses
showing.
And everything.
Oh yeah, special showing. Yeah. We showed up day of. Yeah. I think it was like $15 a ticket. I have a large family, so we spent a lot. And when I say we went, we were big fans. We were big fans. So yeah, we did not. We were so disappointed, and it dropped the concept. So,
you know, it's funny because when Matt Smith's the last half of his season, I mean, he had the Amy and Rory had left, right, and that was such a good pairing, or the trio, the three of them all together was really good. And so Clara, if you say it in the British way, was I will say I kind of liked her as a companion, but something didn't feel right, especially because I liked Amy and Rory so much. I will say, and there was rumors that she was going to leave after like one season with Peter Capaldi. I'm actually glad that she didn't, because once she and Peter Capaldi kind of got into it, I felt like that matchup was actually really good. Clara, and the 12th Doctor, I think, was a really good matchup, and they made that work really well. So it's funny because I was just like, oh yeah, go ahead, leave after once, because you don't quite fit what I want. And it was like, no, actually, you know what? Clara was the perfect companion for the 12th Doctor, and it was kind of sad when she left. But
I enjoyed. Matt Smith was probably one of my favorite. Matt Smith or David
Tennant, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say Matt Smith is probably my favorite, at least his era. His era is my favorite. I don't want to say he's my favorite Doctor, but his era is my favorite.
I'd say it's between those two, and I think, you know what, Matt does win out because he was just so much more goofy, so much more engaging. Whenever I went back through and rewatched them with Ellie, it was because she had never seen them before. So we went back through and watched them.
Yeah.
So, and that, I really, really enjoyed that series. Did that, and then did Stargate.
Okay. Did have you seen all of Stargate? SG-1, Atlantis, Universe?
Universe, yeah.
There was the movie as well with
I've seen the
Catherine Langford, the Catherine Langford movie. You saw that one too?
Yep, and they were going to do another movie, but they never ended up doing it. It was kind of sad.
I didn't like the Kathleen Langford one as much. It was just like, I don't know. But I will say, I did like SG-1. I did like SG-1. The last two seasons didn't. I still liked it, but it wasn't quite the same for me after that. After Jack left, O'Neill.
No, I couldn't.
left.
Actually, once they start heavy Christian bashing in that.
Did they
And
wait? Which one in
oh,
the?
with the Ori.
Oh, the Aura. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, once the Ori came in, Ellie just like, said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I thought it was okay.
I'm
Like
done.
I mean, in
I didn't
general,
real
not the bashing, but
I completely forgot how anti-Christian that was. I just completely missed it, and I was always disappointed they went that route as far as, oh, now there's another false gods to go defeat. It seemed like it was a defeating thing. I would have enjoyed it more if it became more of establishing humanity in
hmm.
this new, because now you have this huge power vacuum, right? They just removed the huge power vacuum from the universe. It would have been much, I would have found it more interesting if they would have said, okay, well, we have this huge network here of stargates. We don't know where all of them go. No one knows where all of them go. We have the ancients information. We've got that. So I would have enjoyed a bit more exploration and almost empire building
Hmm.
or confederation building, because now you have this, like I said, big power vacuum.
True,
Something's going to
true.
start filling that real quick. So if they didn't step up and fill that themselves, someone corrupt was going to, and then that could have been the struggle. Since you don't have the gold anymore, you now have something else come up in its stead.
Yeah.
I would have found more intriguing from a writer's standpoint than, oh, there's just more of the same. Stargate Atlantis, I really enjoyed. I thought it was an interesting concept. It was sort of again the same. You had a big bad guy, but it was different. It was very, very different. Um, Ellie, and I keep calling her Ellie because I know Vocab does. He calls her Ellie, and I don't care. It's her nickname anyway, so it's like I don't care. It works. Um, she never got into Stargate Atlantis too much. We started it, and I think she was just attached to the characters more than the
Hmm.
story, and that's why she wanted to go back. But you're right. As soon as O'Neill kind of left, it just dropped dropped it. Okay, fine. I'll call you L from now on. It's L. L L L L L. My wife is not in the same building with me, so I'm not in danger.
She's gonna come. She's gonna come
She
find
can.
you.
I'm one building over.
Or just one building over.
Oh yeah, I'm not that far. And she has keys.
You know, Atlantis. I watched all of it and I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I wanted to. Like I felt like the mythology, the idea was interesting. I like the idea of the wraith and all of that, and kind of going into the more of the ancients mythos, but it didn't quite land for me for some reason. The just the way they kind of, I don't know, there's something about the mythology of the first 8 seasons of SG1, with learning about the Goa world, and you meet the Asgard and
Oh
all that kind
crap!
of stuff. That all that
I'm
was
in
interesting
trouble.
to me. Huh? What happened? Oh, are you being held hostage? Is there a gun to your head?
No, it's actually right here.
Oh, but it's not to your head.
No, it's not.
I thought maybe there was a gun being pointed at your head off screen.
No, but you could definitely grab one. There's enough.
Yeah, but Atlantis. I think when it was canceled, I was kind of like, you know what, I'm okay with this because I know I was going to keep watching, but at the same time, I wasn't really excited about it. Hello, Ellie. You can't
I
shoot
know it.
me.
I'm gone. Wow, that was fast.
You know what? SGU though, Stargate Universe. That one, it's funny. When I watched it, I was kind of like, I liked the way it looked, but something about it didn't quite grab me. But when I went back and rewatched it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. So I was kind of disappointed that got canceled. SGU, because it
I
was actually not
didn't.
bad.
It didn't
You didn't
land
like it?
very well with me. I'd say
Yeah.
that was probably the weakest out of all of them. I did like the concept. I didn't like the characters. I think the characters really drug it down. There wasn't the same sort of feel with the characters as you got with SG1 or um, Atlantis. It was sort of aimless in a lot of ways. It was much more episodic. And then I just didn't feel like I still want to. I never ended up finishing it. I would be willing to go back through and see where they left it, but knowing that they just canceled it kind of doesn't give me a good feeling that it's going to be leaving in a good position.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of yeah, it will be a little bit unsatisfying because of that, because it was canceled. I will say I didn't actually finish it the original either. Like I didn't. I think I dropped off towards the second season. That might have been around the time my mom got sick too. So that's might be part of the reason. But yeah, so again, that was like, it's kind of similar with Atlantis. I was like, oh, you know what, I'm not really enjoying this, and I know I was going to keep watching it just because I've been watching Stargate forever. But so I was like, yeah, it's okay that they canceled it. But I don't know, for some reason when I rewatched it and just kind of like binged it on Netflix, I don't know why I enjoyed it a lot more the second time around. And I think it's funny that you say you didn't like the characters. I think it was because of the character journeys more than what was actually happening around them that interested me. Just their journey, because I think that's what it was meant to be about, was more about the characters and less about them being in this gate seating ship. I think it was what it was about. And so for some reason that did interest me. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm actually kind of disappointed that now after rewatching it that they didn't continue it. And there was talks about, I think, doing movies to kind of continue it on, but I think that's not going to happen. It seems
Fell
like
through because of political and copyright. That's what ended up falling.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
There's all a fight about it. I know the guys definitely. They wanted at the end of Stargate Atlantis. They wanted to have another movie where it was both crews together, Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis together, and sort of wrap it up there. They dropped that because of they lost copyright to it, and there was a big copyright fight over it. This studio didn't want to do it. They didn't want to invest in it. This other studio did, but the first studio didn't want to give away the license.
Huh.
So, yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
A bunch of stuff about it. So there's that. There's I
don't know if can you guys hear me, or am I frozen? What's going on here? Tell me if you guys can hear me. Okay, so it's your brother in Christ who's frozen. All right, I guess I got to carry this then. Ellie, you got to go in there and tell him what's going on. Tell him that he's frozen. But while I have you guys here, if you didn't know, we're here raising funds for Believing Thinkers. You can search them up on YouTube. They do videos or they were doing videos on philosophy and apologetics. They were part of the Apologetics Empire, or still are, I guess, if that's even still a thing. Uh-oh, it's just me. And let me see if I can post their link in the chat. But they are going through some hard times right now, having trouble making ends meet. They do have an income, but it's not enough to cover their monthly costs. Here's their channel. I'm putting in the link in the chat. You'll probably see it before you hear me say that I'm putting it in the chat because of the delay. But yes, so if you can, please give. Sean has served both his country and Christ's kingdom, and he did it just out of the love of his heart, and he served in the army until he got injured. So I think it's good for us to take care of our veterans. Take care of our veterans, and I think sometimes we don't do that well enough, and so I think this is a good way to give back to him. If you're if you're an American, to thank him for serving the country. If you're a Christian, thanking him for serving the kingdom. GoFundMe link is pinned pinned at the top of the chat. Do we only have 2 people left in the chat? Is it just
Maybe.
Elle and Corinth?
Might be. I don't know.
Are you outside now? Yeah, I can hear you.
My computer died. I don't know. Blue screen death, done, gone. The stuff's sort of thing. I was like, all of a sudden everything froze. And I was like, well, there's that. We'll see if I can get back on the computer, but at least I'm on my phone for now.
Excellent. At least there's that. I was like wondering, am I the one that's frozen or
not this time? Earlier, yes. This time it was on me.
Yep. That's funny. But yes, give. We're talking to, I think, just 2 people now because everyone probably had to leave. But if you're watching this in the replay, give if you can. But if you're watching this in the replay, it's not, I'm not going to be singing, I guess. I'm sorry. You should have come in during the live stream and given, but you can still give. And thank you. You know what? Thank you to everyone that has given, because it's been a struggle trying to make sure that they can get all their bills taken care of. And so I'm really glad. I can't even remember where we were at a couple weeks ago, but we're at $825 now, minus obviously the payment processing fees. So I'm really happy to see that. At least I think it gives them a little bit of a buffer. I don't know if this gets them towards the end of the gets them through the end of the month, but I think it at least gets them hopefully a couple weeks, because they got to feed them. He's got to feed his wife and 6 kids. So, and they don't live extravagantly.
Well, where the place they live, is the cost of living high? Because I think we were talking about not too long ago about different amounts for rent and stuff.
Yeah, my understanding is that recently investors went out there, and I don't know if they went out there or whatever. I think they bought a bunch of houses, and so now the rent is just like skyrocketing. Because I think, if I'm correct, I think maybe I heard that the house that they're at now was like maybe half as much for rent not too long ago, maybe a year ago or something. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But obviously, if you get like a company going out there and buying up all the properties, and there's less competition, then you can jack up the prices, and as long as you have people willing to pay the rent, you're not gonna. You can do it. So, yeah, I think because from what I understand, people tend to go to they're in Florida. I don't know if we mentioned that, but people tend to go to Florida for escaping the more expensive areas. But I guess it's becoming an expensive area or something. Well, I don't know.
I guess definitely if you're coming from now, I know there's been some companies buying up property. I know here in Ohio, that's what's basically been happening. Either that or out-of-state people coming in. We are for a long time looking for a larger farm than what we had. Not going to happen. Not anytime soon, considering even the smallest farms that would have been acceptable are going for a couple million. Easy. And that's really unheard of in this area. The prices that they're going for per acre. So if you sell your house out in California, you get a lot of money from that because they go high out there, and then you come out to the middle of nowhere and you buy yourself a farm.
Yeah, get yourself some acreage. But yeah, so I think I believe, I don't know what the numbers are now for them, but I think after this first month, because obviously you have to pay first last rent and security and all that, which took a lot out of them. Last we had spoken, the generally per month they were going to be needing about like 1,500 more in addition to what they're bringing in. And mind you, again, we mentioned this at the beginning of the stream. This is not even considering like what he's dealing with in terms of his medical issues and his dental issues, and so that's sort of like down the line. Hopefully, they can take care of that. So I mean, we're asking for 10,000 right now just to kind of get them through, the day to day stuff. But if people can give more, that would be great. I mean, hopefully, like eventually the circumstances change. Like maybe they can either find a place that's cheaper, or the I don't know how it works. The rent, maybe the owner, the people who are renting it to them will say, "Hey, stick around. We'll lower the rent or whatever." I don't know if that ever happens, but hopefully they can pay less rent, maybe retain more money per month, save up, and can and Sean can have a better quality of life, and as well as not having to stress about making ends meet. So it's a lot. It's a lot on them, and he's a pretty resilient guy. Like this guy, he was in the army, so he knows how to survive and rough it. But there just comes a point where it's just like everyone has their breaking point, and I'm not saying that he's reached his breaking point, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot. You're trying to feed your 6 kids, and you're dealing with pain in your teeth, pain in your back, and just a bunch of other stuff. And so keep them in your prayers. Definitely share the links, the GoFundMe link if you can. I'm grateful, to David Wood, to Jordan Ortiz, Warrior Woman, and a bunch of other people who shared the link to this live stream. Shared the link to the GoFundMe. That made a huge difference. When Jordan shared it on all his social media, like yesterday or the day before, I mean, we ended up getting like I think $300 in donations. 3 people gave $100, and so that was amazing. Like if he hadn't done that, then it wouldn't have come in. David Wood retweeted one of my tweets, and I think that brought in some funds as well. So even sharing it makes a huge difference, even if you can't yourself give, because I know a lot of people are struggling. And so yeah, if you have a platform and people that want to help out, then even just like a retweet, or doing this live stream again. Thank you to your brother in Christ for doing this. It makes a difference. I mean, this live stream, I think we raised at least like 200 or something since the beginning. So the fact that that you were willing to do this made a difference as well. And so I'm just grateful that we were able to at least help them a little bit this month. Hopefully we can bring in more. Maybe if people watch the live stream later, you guys will be willing to go to the GoFundMe and donate more. God will provide. It's certainly a test of faith right now, but we're trusting in Him, and so there's been a lot of generous people who've I think been willing to just kind of sacrifice, and I don't know. I don't know how people have sacrificed, or what they said. For all I know, people have given up things so they to be able to give to the GoFundMe. I mean, I think necessarily you have to, because if you didn't know about it, you obviously would have used that money for something else or saved it or whatever. You chose to give to the GoFundMe, and that's made a difference. It's allowed Sean and Erika to feed their kids, provide for them, and hopefully give them a little bit of peace, because even just the stress of wondering can be difficult. So yes, currents, everything helps. So I definitely appreciate what you guys are doing. So
give. My parents have done, they owned a couple of apartments. They owned, I think, 4. One of the things they can do is they can ask for the rent to be reduced. I know that some of my parents' renters have asked for that in the past. There's one time that they did do it that I can remember, but that was someone that's been there 15 years. And they're basically saying, hey, my working situation, I got fired, I can't make rent. Would you mind lowering it? And I think my parents did it just because they were such a reliable renter. So I don't think that will apply to this situation, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, I mean, we can think of all manner of like circumstances of, oh, if only this happens, or if only that happens, or if only like this big famous person, if like Elon Musk retweeted us, then everything will be covered or something like that. It's like we could pray for things like that, but God may have other plans, and I think we just I think it's good to pray that that the Hursts are being sustained, that they are trusting in Him, trusting in God, and that whatever God wants them to learn through this situation, that they're able to learn that too. I think we forget about that. We forget about we I think we have a tendency to focus on just praying that circumstances are changed so that things are more comfortable, but that's not always God's will. And so I think I think it's good to say whatever God's will is, if it is His will that they can be provided for, that more money can come in, or that the rent can be lower. But if not, that they are still trusting in Him, and that they're able to see what it is that God is doing through the situation, and that they are that their faith is strengthened, that they're refined by this, because I think suffering is part of our how we grow in Christ as well, and how they deal with this kind of situation also can be a witness to other people who are not in Christ. And I think just their attitudes in general have always been they've been, in my opinion anyway, good witnesses of what it means to be in Christ. And so that's part of the reason. I mean, I wanted to do this campaign and do this live stream, and just everything that I've been trying to do for them is because I just love what they do. I love who they are. I appreciate everything that they try to do, and they're just good people. I mean, hopefully they'll start doing live streams again, and more people can kind of join and hang out in their live streams. Because and you know what, go watch their content. Sean is a really fun guy. I don't know if how many of you guys have seen their stuff. Their channel isn't huge right now. It's only like I think it's less than 2,000. Like less than 1.5K I think at the moment, but they got some good stuff there, and some basic like just ways of thinking philosophically that can be helpful. And he said some he's interviewed Inspiring Philosophy, Adam Coleman, and I think, was it Dr. Liz Jackson, who I think has been on like Capturing Christianity before, and some other people. There's some interesting stuff there, and just his own content as well. And his wife has put up some stuff as well on the channel. So they're not putting up stuff right now, but they already got content in there that you can consume all for free. So
what was their channel's name?
Believing Thinkers. I think it comes up if you just type that in, but I can put it in the chat. Right.
That's what I was looking up.
What did I just hear?
That was me. That's me probably looking it up. There we go.
Believing Thinkers. Booyah!
Ha!
Oh, Eric Hernandez. Yes, he was on the channel as well. In fact, oh wait, did you beat me to it? Huh.
That beat you to it.
That's funny because it looks like on mine I beat you to it, I think.
Done.
But you probably did. But no. You know what? I didn't even know who Eric Hernandez was before Believing Thinkers. So take from that what you will. Trent Doherty, yeah, he's an interesting person. Yeah, Corinth knows. Corinth knows because he's been on the channel for a while. He was been part of those classes. That Sean did for a few of us.
There's a suggestion. You might want to ask AOC if he'd be willing to share it on Monday.
Okay. Yeah, and in fact, did you say AOC?
AOC.
Who's?
Oh, jeez. My brain's not working. Sorry, I covered things earlier.
That's somebody else. No, actually, yeah, no, yeah, SOC. So you know what? And I should mention this. SOC is doing a live stream tomorrow, on Galatians on his Servant of Christ Ministries channel. I think he already put it in the chat. It might, I don't know if it's disappeared or not, but he actually is asking people to give to the GoFundMe instead of giving to him tomorrow for his Galatians live stream. So, and he's allowing me to share the GoFundMe in the chat as well. So go watch tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST, I believe.
There
Galatians.
is the link.
Yes.
In the chat.
Yes.
To his channel.
So thank you to Jordan Ortiz for allowing us to for giving up basically your super chats for tomorrow's live stream to give to Believing Thinkers. That is much appreciated, and maybe I can mention it on Monday as well. But yeah,
spread it everywhere.
Let's make it go viral.
Under every bush.
Did you say under every bush?
Under every bush.
Under every bush. Tree. Under every tree. Under every rock. GoFundMe. Go fund them.
Go fund them.
Go fund the Hursts. We haven't gotten a donation in a while. Can we get to maybe $8.50?
$8.50 before we call it.
Yeah, before we call it, or can we get to 2,000?
2,000?
Or maybe
that'd be better.
Can we? Okay, tell you what. If we can get to 1,000, maybe I will sing before the end of the stream.
Well, that's quite a discount.
Mm-hmm. That is quite a discount. We've been going for about a little more than 90 minutes, I think, right? Am I doing my math right? I forget when we started.
Well over 90 minutes.
Yeah, well over 90 minutes.
We're an hour and 42 minutes into this.
Yep. So, you know what? GiveSendGo gave me issues. It might be back up, but at one point it was disabled, which was a little irritating.
That was with the whole trucker thing.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. Yeah, and that's the other thing was too. I was a little bit not leery of them, but leery of the people who are giving, and then I was afraid that their information might be stolen or whatever. So there was, and there might still be a GiveSendGo, but I haven't been pushing that as much just because last I checked it was disabled. So I don't know. But yeah, I might look into that again and see. I might need to retool that a little bit. But can we reach 1,000 before the end of the stream? Who's left in here?
Yeah,
there's 4 people. You got 4 people.
If YouTube is telling me the truth.
Huh?
That's the question. If YouTube is telling me the truth.
That's true, and I'm also in the live stream too, so I don't know if that's counting against it. That's probably so. There's 3 besides me. So do you think we can get to? Oh, hello! I just saw a donation. Does it get us to? How much was it? Oh, we're at $8.75 now. $8.75. Nice. Oh, we are getting there. Somebody wants to hear me sing. So, oh, hello. Oh, dang. Somebody's sharing this. We just got another one.
Nice. It takes a while to refresh on my screen.
Let's see. What do we? Oh, 905. Dang.
905.
See, this is what we got to do like more reachable goals. This is how it works. Okay, 905. Oh, so we need 95.
$95 away.
Yeah, $95 away from me singing very poorly.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wait, was that another? No, it wasn't. I thought it was another one. I think it's just I didn't clear the notification.
That way we can get this out to everyone and get them the help they need.
905. Nice. Wait, so how much I forget what we were at the beginning of the stream. Do you remember?
673.
673. Okay. All right.
I think. I could be
I
wrong.
think that sounds
about
that sounds about right.
It's about right. I could be wrong about the last digit. I know it was 670 something.
I think because somebody gave 33. I think before we started the stream, so it was kind of an odd number. So that sounds about right. Oh man.
So I know something I want to do, and we'll see if we can do this next year when we're down at Doctrine for the Block. Is do a fundraiser for Doctrine for the Block while we're down there.
Oh yeah. That's a good idea.
I've got good ideas to do when we're in person when we're doing fundraisers. Stuff that will be very interesting. We'll see if we can get D New into it. We'll see if we can get some other individuals into it. One thing I want to do is crazy foods.
Crazy foods?
Crazy
like
food.
What? Like hot ramen or something?
Ramen, maybe like the most sour candy out there.
Chicken feet? Oh,
Chicken
I'll
feet?
Eat some chicken feet.
Chicken feet.
I'll eat chicken feet.
Well, what I want to do is I want to get like 30 items. 30 food. Disgusting to pleasant. And put it out on the table, put a number on each of them, and then have some sort of number generator, random number generator for each of us. And we just spin or do something like a wheel or something like that. We spin it, and then we take whatever food it lands on, round it up, in case that food was already taken, we eat.
I mean, I'm not going to eat bugs, but...
Oh, I think a chocolate-covered scorpion would be a good one.
I don't know about that. If it's ground up bugs, I mean, if it's like a cookie with ground up bugs in it, like I won't care.
You wouldn't even notice. In that case, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless you get the carapace stuck in your teeth.
But I mean, there's been stuff that was a challenge on Fear Factor to eat that I've eaten. Like it wasn't a challenge. Like it's something that I put in my dinner.
Well, I want like a large variety from, again, disgusting stuff to wonderful stuff.
It's not even. It wasn't even disgusting. It's like I was like, give me some of that. I want more. I wish I could eat more of it, but it's bad for you if you eat too much of it. But it was like people were trying not to have to eat that on Fear Factor. It's like, what?
Why? I know there's like the sourest fruit in the world.
Oh my!
And I would love to try that.
Ooh, that's interesting. The sour. How easy is that to get, though? What is it?
It's Japanese.
Is it Japanese?
I think you can get pickled. I think you can get them pickled. And what I do is I just send them down, and then we would just get there. We'd set it up all on the table, and we'd all get a number and roll dice to see who gets what. Do that for a fundraiser live stream for Doctor for the Block.
I have my limits, though. I mean, I eat a lot of stuff that people think is weird, like squid. I've eaten squid. I think I've eaten frog legs, too. Squid is good.
Frog legs are good.
I haven't, yeah.
Loves frog legs. Oh, my gosh. She loves some good cooked frog legs.
I've had gator bites.
Gator's good.
Like, if there was like somebody had, like, deep fried tarantula and it looked like a tarantula, I don't know that I would touch that.
I definitely want to get that for you now.
Well, I'm not, you know what? I'm not gonna eat it. I don't care. I am not. I don't care about Doctrine for the Block that much.
Wow. Oh, well, you guys heard it here now. There are limits for his care for another individual.
Yep.
For Doctrine for the Block.
Yep. Nope.
Not tarantula.
Not tarantula. I am not gonna eat tarantula. Nope. But
I'll eat it.
I might sing before the end of the stream. We got 95 left, and let's make this. Let's say we'll go until the top of the next hour. If we can get to 1,000 in the GoFundMe by 9 p.m. EST, I'll sing a little ditty.
That's only 10 minutes, man.
It's only 10 minutes, so y'all gotta give.
Yeah,
y'all gotta give. Give. So this is your last chance. Go post it everywhere. Go post on all your social media and say you gotta give at least $5. How many? We need 19 people to give $5. and then that's all you need. Fine, fine. Though bigger donations are better, not just for the obvious reasons that they're bigger, but
They take a smaller percentage out of it.
yeah, yeah. There's I mean, GoFundMe is in the sense that they don't have a fee themselves that they take out, but there's a payment processing fee, 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. So imagine, if you have people giving like if you're trying to raise 1,000 and you have 10 people give 100, that's gonna be significantly more in their pocket than if 1,000 people give $1. That's gonna be a lot less because you're taking 30 cents, 2.9% out of every dollar. Yeah, so the larger donations help. Definitely.
So maybe
I don't see it.
for maybe the next one we do when we're in person, maybe this strange food combination. There should be cookies. Should be all
Cookies.
cooked in cookies. So whatever it is, it's cooked into a cookie, and you eat the cookie, and then you don't know what it is until you reveal what it is after the fact.
I could do that. I mean, if you can safely ground a tarantula into a cookie, and it just feels like cookie. Now, if there's legs, like whole legs in the cookie, like you have chocolate chips, whole chocolate chip, but it's like legs, that might, I don't know. I don't, especially if it's furry. Who's breaking up? Am I breaking up? I have a rough connection.
Elle was saying you were breaking up a bit, then you keep coming back. So
I am so sorry. It's probably partly because of this. My laptop's really old. I got to upgrade that as well. Maybe I can do a fundraiser for that after we take care of
this one.
Not after this. Well, I still want everyone to give what they can to Sean and Erika, but maybe after we reach 10,000, I can start raising money for myself for a new laptop. Mm-hmm. Not that anyone would give.
So let's see. We were talking about sci-fi earlier. I've been enjoying. We talked about Stargate. We talked about Doctor Who. One of the other series we did was, of course, Star Trek.
Okay. Yeah.
We went through Next Generation. We went through some of Voyager, and we went through Deep Space Nine. And I was surprised to learn that Elle's favorite out of those three, was Deep Space Nine. She loved Deep Space Nine. Didn't care about Voyager that much.
I can understand that. Voyager, I've gone back and forth. Voyager, that was coming out when I was in high school. Like, I think it literally, the season or the series finale was my senior year in high school. But I liked it at the time. When I rewatched it, I was kind of like, oh, I can kind of see why people don't like it. I have an appreciation for it still, but it's definitely not my favorite. It has issues. I think it has good characters. I think 7 of 9 is a very interesting character. I like Tuvok. I think they could have done so much more with the concept and the characters they have. I mean, the whole idea of the Maquis being forced on this ship with them and all that kind of stuff, and being in the Delta Quadrant and away from Starfleet. There's so many things they could have done. That I think they didn't do. Am I breaking up again?
Yeah,
Why am I breaking up? A little bit. But Deep Space Nine, I'm coming back. Okay, Deep Space Nine. I think that one I've actually rewatched the most on Netflix, which is surprising to me. For the longest time, I would have said TNG is my favorite, but Deep Space Nine is. I mean, it's a little bit shaky in the beginning, I guess. It's a little more episodic, but once you get into it, I think like around the 3rd or 4th season, once because I think they changed showrunners. Actually, like if you like Deep Space Nine, your brother in Christ, have you seen the documentary on Deep Space Nine called "What We Left Behind"?
Mm-hmm.
You have? Okay. I think they explained in that documentary that it was like around the 3rd season or so that a new person took over, and so they kind of revamped it. I think that's when they brought in the Defiant. That's when Cisco had his head shaved and things like that. And they just kind of just revamped the whole thing. and it's actually really good. I mean, the story arc is good. I think the concept of the prophets, the Dominion, the changelings, and all that kind of stuff. It's actually a really good series. I know DS9 has gotten a lot of hate. I think from people who are fans of like the original series and TNG. TNG got hate too when it came out. But it's DS9 is a decent series. You go okay. You got to go do your nails. Okay.
Well,
Yes.
thank you very much for joining. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you,
And
Michelle.
thank
See
you
you
for
on
help
Monday.
sharing this.
Yeah, but yeah, DS9's good. I know a lot of people hated Enterprise, and that's the one that like got canceled, or that's the one. I mean, it got canceled, and then there was no Star Trek series for a while. But I've actually watched that one a few times as well. I probably rewatch Enterprise more than I've rewatched TNG like all the way through. Um,
Well, we
I
have
think
not yet gone to Enterprise with her. I
I
did
assume you've
enjoy
seen it.
Enterprise. I've
You did
enjoyed
enjoy
it.
Enterprise, yeah? Okay,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I thought that some of the concepts they put forth were very interesting. Um, I I'd definitely say it was more sexual
yeah.
than the others,
Unfortunately, yeah.
but other than that, I thought it held its own. Deep Space Nine again was a great series. I thought the characters were fantastic. I think that's why L likes it so much. Was the characters were more engaging. Um, again, Next Generation was a fantastic mixture. Once they actually started going about season three, it really held well together and came into its own and really established that universe as a viable, I guess, franchise. Um, I'd say the issue she has the biggest with Voyager is that one, every episode is DEFCON 5. They have it's red alert all the time. This is the worst thing ever. And then the next episode, this is the worst thing ever. And the next episode, this is the worst thing ever. And it might not be that way exactly, but it's pretty close. Um, One thing that drove me nuts with the series, and I do enjoy it, but the fact that they take away a lot. A lot of the episodes, there's the main risk that I would have found interesting is if the damage from one episode would have gone into the next one, and it wasn't so episodic, because they
Mm-hmm.
came back. They always come back, and their ship is almost like brand new, ready to go out of dry dock. Fantastic. Um, no, they should have been getting damaged worse and worse, and it would have been good if the writers had just like a chart on the wall saying, okay, in this season we take this much damage, in this season we get some repairs, and maybe Voyager starts changing. Maybe Voyager now has more components. I know eventually they did with Borg stuff, integration with Borg stuff, but I would have liked to have seen that earlier on and continued throughout, where eventually you get back to it, when they get back to Federation space, you see, and spoilers for those who haven't seen it. I know, Al, I just spoiled the entire thing for you, but then again, it's not really a shock. Let's be honest. I'm not going to tell you how, but when they get back, they should have been in basically almost a new vessel, which is a mix up of all these other civilizations they've gone through. And basically, you would have been flying in what would eventually become a museum, even because they've got such a mixture of different species. You can go through there and you can learn about all these species and all their technologies just through Voyager itself. I thought would have been much more intriguing concept, and it would have added a lot more weight to each individual episode, because if they get damaged, well, now it's damaged for all time. They've got to find replacement parts for that. Maybe they don't do that for a season or ever. You know, the nacelle is no longer working right, so now they have to go slower throughout the season, and that
Mm-hmm.
causes drama. You know, maybe they're not able to obtain warp until they get repairs, and maybe you have 3 or 4 episodes where they just can't get warp, and that means something through each one because now they have to struggle with it. Something that I work with a science fiction author who does a lot of sci-fi writing, Christian sci-fi writing. one of the things that's most interesting, and we have to go through and break this down, is limitations. Limitations make the show or make the book, because with limitations then comes intrigue, because now the characters have to overcome those limitations. You know, if you have one of the most famous ones from Star Trek Next Generation is you can't transport at warp. Well, then they immediately break that later on. But if you have to overcome an issue, and maybe you want to transport at warp, but you can't, you have to find some other way around it, that gives more intrigue to the characters, because now they have to overcome something, and there's more value than just, oh, we found this magical calculation, now we can do it. It's like, no, that robs the characters. Whenever you have a god in the box show up and just comes in and wins the day all of a sudden, you rob the characters we love, and you defeat yourself, because now I don't care. I don't care about the series, because I know last second they're going to come in and just save anyway. There's no real intrigue to it. But yeah, I think that could have definitely improved the series. With Enterprise, the Zindi were fantastic.
That was a fascinating concept.
Don't want to spoil too much for my lovely wife about Enterprise, because I think she'll enjoy that one more. Not as much as Deep Space Nine, but I think definitely more than Next Generation or Voyager. But yes, she did love Q, and I thought that was great. I don't think Q was a god in the box. In fact, Elle says that. He wasn't. He was a very interesting plot device. And having a creature that is that powerful, that overpowering, and having him become a major part in the series is very interesting. I like overpowered characters, but I also like their limitations. Another thing that I'm a pretty big fan of is anime. Actually, I'm a big anime fan. I have watched so much anime over the years. One of the ones is One Punch Man. And you have Saitama, which is overpowered. I mean, seriously, he just literally One Punch Man. He punches anything, he wins. He just annihilates anything in front of him. But he has some very big limitations, and he has to overcome those limitations. And that is more intriguing than anything, I think, is, yeah, he can just go ahead and beat the snot out of this guy, but he's got his own limitations to deal with. Maybe he wants to get to the store on time. That was quite entertaining. He's like, oh, wow, I got to get to the store on time. Forget this battle. Okay, wipe everyone out. Let's go. Get there before the sale ends.
I still need to watch that.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet? Oh, man, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend One Punch Man. Another one I've really enjoyed is Overlord. That one, it's a bit of a darker one. It's one that's alternate world. It's one of those alternate world ones. Video game guy gets stuck in a world that's based off of his video game. Very interesting concept of how he deals with it, though.
That's not on Netflix.
No, you probably need, I think Funimation has it.
Oh.
Or you can look at some other more questionable websites. Not that I ever use those more questionable websites. I plead the fifth. For those of you that are not in America, that means I can't bear witness upon myself. Or say something that will incriminate myself.
It's interesting what you were saying about the limitations, because Ronald D. Moore, who worked on TNG, I forget, like as a producer or something, or maybe a writer. think he wrote several episodes. He wrote or co-wrote Starter Generations and First Contact, I believe, but he rebooted. Is it rebooted the right word? He did the new Battlestar Galactica. He was the executive producer behind that, and he was talking about how I think I was listening to the commentary track on some of the DVDs, and he was talking about how when he was working on Star Trek, they had all this technology, and so that gave the Enterprise the ability to do all these different things that they had to come up with issues, just so that their technology didn't work. And so on Battlestar Galactica, you kind of have those limitations baked into the world already, and so they didn't have to deal with that, where you had some kind of weather anomaly or spatial anomaly or whatever that prevented you from beaming down to the planet. So then you had to take the shuttle or whatever, because it's like you didn't have beaming technology in Battlestar Galactica. You didn't have phasers. You actually used bullets and things like that. And so,
The
yeah.
whole teleporting thing in Star Trek, the whole teleporting thing was not originally supposed to be a thing. They didn't want it. They didn't have it. They got the first episode, they started recording it, and their shuttles were late. Their props were late. They didn't have any shuttles. So they had to, in the original series, they had to make up something so that they could get the people down to the planet, record their first episode, and wait for the shuttles later. Because the original concept was that they would have the shuttles, and that was the only thing they had. They didn't have any sort of teleporting technology at all. So interesting that was an oopsie that ended up becoming such a big part of that series.
That's like I feel like that's like similar to Doctor Who, where it's like you have the time machine that's shaped as the police box. I think it was just that was just like they needed a practical way to have a time machine where they're going place to place, so they just came up with this. Oh, the chameleon circuit is broken, so it's supposed to camouflage itself, and then now it's such an iconic thing. I mean, it was a real thing. Right? Police boxes. That's like how people called the police back in the day, in the 60s, I think 50s and 60s, maybe 70s. You had these police boxes all around, and you could go in and call the police with the phone. And I think maybe you could also do a citizen's arrest or something, apprehend a person, put him in the police box. But if it wasn't for Doctor Who, the what we now know as the TARDIS probably would have just faded into obscurity. Everyone sees that and they're like, "Oh, that's the TARDIS." No, it was originally a police box. And is my video gone? What's going on? Can you see me?
I see you. You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm breaking up a little bit.
You're back.
Man, I don't know why I'm breaking up. Maybe it's my computer is just it doesn't love me no more. But yeah, same thing. So I don't know. If you haven't seen Battlestar Galactica, I would sort of recommend that. It is. You have seen it, yeah. But it has.
Oh yeah, I've seen the original and
the
new remake. I prefer the original.
You really? I watched some of the original, but I watched the remake first, so maybe that's gonna affect the way I see the original. I couldn't get into the original as much. I think if I had watched it as a kid, maybe I would have, and it would have like a nostalgia effect on me, like if I watched the reruns or something. But I don't think it was available at the time in my. It wasn't like syndication or whatever in my area, so I didn't. I've only seen. I don't think I've even seen the first season. Well, how long did they even run in the original run?
I forget off the top of my head. It's been years. I watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
I'm not that old, but
yeah.
But my parents liked it, and they showed me when I was a kid.
Yeah, so. It's different. It's definitely not as dark than the remake, but I have to say I did really enjoy the remake as a show. It was just, I think Battlestar Galactica is probably one of the shows that started making me expect more from television, because I think a lot of things were a little bit more episodic, mediocre up until that point, and so this kind of I think raised the bar a little bit those were the times like Lost as well. But 905, I mean, if we've given you guys a little bit of grace, you could have donated 95 and then could have heard me sing. But I guess you just don't want to hear me sing.
So we're doing this fundraiser, help them out. For anyone that might have just joined us. So we're helping them out and having our chat meanwhile. So having fun.
Talking about sci-fi stuff.
Talking about sci-fi, might as well. Both big sci-fi fans, enjoy it greatly. So, no, I think those were probably the biggest ones. I think the biggest ones growing up for me was Stargate, Star Trek, Star Wars. Those were the biggest ones growing up for me as far as might have been others, but not as big as far as sci-fi goes. Oh,
Babylon 5 is good too, in my opinion.
Dune was a big one, still is. I enjoyed the new movie they made. I don't enjoy the actress in it as much. That it plays the main squeeze, but I do enjoy the movie. Had the actor that played Ronan in it, so I do enjoy him. I liked him as an actor. I think he does a great job on that.
Aquaman.
Fortunately, he died. So
spoiler alert.
I realized that after I was like, I shouldn't have said that. I would have picked him for that role, though. Granted, spoilers. Okay, I've read all the books, the prequels, the sequels, and all the books of the Dune series. And the original Dune is a pain to get through. It takes some endurance, such as it is. But you may see that character come back up if they continue making the books into movies. Ooh. So I would be interested in them doing the prequels, actually. I think the prequels were one of the better books. Actually, the prequels were written by the original author's son and a friend of theirs. And I think they did, as far as pacing goes, I'd say those work much better in our current climate, I guess, our current interests. They're a lot more faster pace. The original Dune was a bit slower. That is, the three that I'm referring to is the Butlerian Jihad, Machine Crusade, and Battle of Corn. Now, I've probably listened to those. I do audiobooks. So I've listened to those many, many times, more than the others, just because I enjoyed those together. And they got breakdowns after that. They got a bunch of mini stories after that. But
I do have 4 of the books on Kindle because they were really cheap. They were like, I think they were like $2.99, $1.99 or something. So I picked them up.
Which ones?
Like books 1 through so Dune. It's funny. I'm just looking at it in my Kindle now. So they have the original one, but they changed the cover to match the movie. It wasn't like that before. But Messiah looks like book 2, Children of Dune book 3, and then God Emperor of Dune book 4, I guess. So
there's
I haven't
a couple others after that.
Yeah,
I know
there's 4 of 6.
4 of 6, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets kind of weird towards the end, and then they've got like another series, another 3 books that they do after that. After those 6, there's another one they put in between book 1 and 2, sort of 1.5. Paul Dune. Yeah, so there's a lot. That's a very large series. And I personally enjoy very long books. I don't know about you, but I enjoy long books. Like, as far as the audio version, whenever I'm looking at getting a book, I'm looking at like 30 hours long. I would love a 30, 40-hour long book. It's just in audio form. So someone's reading it. So I don't know what that translates over to. My main thing is definitely if it's a series and all of them are 40 hours long. I'm going through a series right now called The Wheel of Time, which I think is a very interesting book series. It's fantasy, magic stuff, not Christian. but I'll sit down. I'll read that. I think the first book's like 40 hours. The second audio version, the second one's like 30, and there are, I think, 16 of these things. So it's a very long series. Each book is very long, but if I am going to invest time in knowing a fantasy world, then I want it to pay off for a long time. I don't want a 10-hour
Hmm.
book and be done with it and be like, wow, I'm never going to pick this one up again, ever. So, um, let's see. Growing up, there was a sci-fi. Oh, another sci-fi one that I really enjoyed the books. Ender's Game.
Mm. I've
Don't
read
know
the
if
first one.
you've read the first one. I
Yeah.
prefer the Bean story, the Ender Shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, the author went back to the original story and rewrote it, and that was a good book. I enjoyed that. Again, these are just reads, not for just for entertainment.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that. Another one. Now, this isn't for entertainment; it's for spiritual development. Another one would be any of the J.R. Tolkien's
Hmm.
or C.S. Lewis's. The Lord of the Rings. I definitely put that under theology. Definitely, if you're familiar with the Silmarillion, basically was the Silmarillion's the background of the Lord of the Rings. What was behind the scenes of the Lord of the Rings? You find out in that Gandalf is an angel. He's a lesser angel
Oh.
that wanted to participate in the Lord's creation. And actually, funnily enough, both of the creation stories of J.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis's main works are very similar to one another. Both involve singing, both involve the angels participating in the singing, in the act of creation. A lot of people, and I've gotten discussions about this, that, well, J.R. Tolkien isn't a theological writer. He never wrote anything theological. I'm like, I've read all of his stuff then. Because it's very plain once you read that. It puts a whole nother level on the whole battle in the Mines of Moria with the Balrog and Gandalf. You realize that's a fallen angel right there, the demon, and then he's facing an actual angel on the other end. It just changes that whole thing up.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. So, and then you've got uh, Out of the Silent Planet. That's a good series. That's a space trilogy from C.S. Lewis.
Oh, I think I have that one.
He did Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and then This Hideous Strength. And all three of those are really good, really deep, really kind of scary because they're predicting things that were coming after C.S. Lewis's life, and we see have come to pass. Definitely, another series he did, which was the Screw Tape Letters, which I love. The Screw Tape Letters, I've read those so many times. At the end was a toast to Screw Tape, and that predicted a lot of things that came to pass after his death, which is really kind of creepy. And we still see the effects to today. So I don't know. Are you familiar with the Screw Tape Letters?
I have the book. I have not read it yet. I'm really bad at reading, but I have I know, yeah, I know about it. I read, like, I think I opened it and read like a couple pages. It did look interesting, but I'm just really bad at reading, so I never finished it.
Well, the main concept is it's a demon writing a letter to another demon. They were originally individual. They were released in a newspaper originally. So each section was released on its own a week apart. So these are basically an episode series about from way back when. So this is a TV series. You can almost think of it like that. Um, but it gets dark. But that's kind of the nature of it. Basically, again, You're basically listening to a demon's conversation as if you're listening over their shoulder. And it's very, very interesting. So those are some books I greatly enjoy. There are others. Science fiction. Oh, what was it? Columbus Day. That's one that you would enjoy. Columbus Day was very good science fiction. You have to stick it out for a while. The real main character doesn't show up for a while. It kind of breaks that. It's like a dual main character. The first one isn't as interesting as the second main character. And he shows up, I think, halfway through the book, actually. But I would recommend that one. It's interesting. There's a lot of language in it, though. But just be aware of it.
Just bad language, you mean?
Bad language. That's about it, if memory serves. But that's, again, another long series. But those are good books. They're fun. They're comedy-wise, funny and engaging.
It's funny. I had the first Dune pulled up on my Kindle app, and for a while it was saying 10 minutes left in the book, even though I was in the beginning, and I'm like, "There's no way." But it looks like it just adjusted. Now it says 9 hours and 52 minutes. I don't know why I kept saying 10 minutes for the longest time. It's 10 minutes. I don't read that fast, so
usually, they did a board game off of Dune, and that was pretty good.
Oh, did they?
That was good. It's one of my favorite board games now.
Oh, do they still? Is that still purchasable?
Yeah, I just bought it last year, actually.
Oh, okay, all right. How old is the game, though?
Oh, it's the original. It's from the original game, from the original movie.
Oh, okay.
At least the one I got was, because that one had up to 6 players, and I don't do 4-player games. If it's any sort of board game or anything like that, I don't do any less than 6 players. Because I have a large family, and who gives a...
Oh, yeah.
It always leaves someone out. If you only got 4 players, it leaves someone out. It's like, come on, man.
It's a good lesson. Sometimes you don't get included. It's just the way it is.
Just read it.
Read what?
Dune? Read it. Probably Dune.
I did read all the Chronicles of Narnia, which... You'd think I would have read it as a kid. I didn't. I read the again, I'm a bad reader, but I did finish, I think, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe sometime as a kid. But I think as an adult, I eventually had gone back and read all of the Chronicles of Narnia. So I did actually finish that one.
Those were my bedtime story growing up. And then The Hobbit. The Hobbit and Chronicles of Narnia. Those were my bedtime stories growing up.
I do have The Hobbit. I have not read it yet. It was also cheap on Kindle.
It's a bit harder to read than Lord of the Rings, I'd say.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. It's structured differently. He wrote that before he wrote the Lord of the Rings, and you can see him develop as a writer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just there's parts that it's hard to get through.
I heard that the Two Towers was written. It follows each of the Fellowship separately. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So you follow like Frodo and Sam's journey, and you follow like
it's split up Aragorn. Like the movie was.
Well, so the movie went back and forth between each one. Like you kept going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I thought I heard from the book you follow each one individually. So then it starts with Frodo or I don't know if it's Frodo and Sam all the way through.
I think Frodo and Sam were the last ones to follow through, because that kind of, and that makes sense with the reveal. Again, the ending of the book goes into some of the next movie. The movies don't line up right with the books.
Oh yeah.
So I think one of the endings was the reveal of the mithril coat.
Oh.
And you didn't hear if memory serves, you didn't hear anything about Sam or Frodo before that. So to the reader, they haven't heard anything since then. And I think that's when it rewinds back to Sam and Frodo and goes through their story. So it's a bit more of a, oh my goodness, he's dead. And you can go through thinking that he's dead the entire time. Surprise!
Oh, that's why you have Frodo lives like or like graffitied everywhere when the books came out or something like that. That kind of makes more sense. I gotta read. I gotta try to read this. I don't know if I can actually make it through it because I'm bad. I'll pick up a book and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read it. But it's like whenever I have time to read, I usually feel like doing something else. So it's like I don't, and then I just end up dropping. I've tried to read like Les Mis so many times.
Well, that's my main issue is I have dyslexia.
Oh,
Bad. And I have a hard time reading. Going through school was a pain. My reading level was abysmal. Mathematics, that was great. Mathematics and science and history, great. Um, Reading, not so much. That's why when I picked up the audio books,
yeah.
not sponsored, but Audible is pretty great. And they give you a credit every month. You can spend it on any book, no matter what the price is, and the credit charges you the same. So I think it's like $14 for a credit, and you can use that for any book. So you can buy, a $30 book for $14. But again, I do a lot of driving in my work. So when I'm driving, I can listen to audiobooks. When I can listen to audiobooks. So I get to enjoy that. When I'm editing videos, I get to listen to audiobooks as long as I'm not listening to the audio. So it allows me to be able to multitask, and I really prefer multitasking a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't done audiobooks that much. I think I did buy the Phantom Menace novelization on CD back in the day, like when Phantom Menace had come out. And part of the reason with that is I used to listen to a lot of audio dramas, and so in my mind I was thinking, oh, this is like an audio drama. Like I would listen to it as I was falling asleep. And so I was like, oh, I can listen to the Phantom Menace while I'm falling asleep. But it was different because it's not an audio drama. Obviously, you have a guy that's reading it, and so I think because I part of me wanted it to be like a drama somehow, and he kind of dramatizes it obviously a little bit with the dialogue. But I think because I was just wanting something that it wasn't. It probably turned me off a little bit. But I should maybe try listening to some audiobooks sometimes. It might help with my consumption of media. I don't know. I do like reading, but it's just like I also don't like it at the same time. It's weird. I'm a paradox. Wait, is that the right word? I'm a contradiction.
Contradiction. So you talked about Star Wars. So what is your opinion on Star Wars? And let's break this down into 3 sections. You have
Okay.
the main, the old 3. You have the prequel 3, and then you have the Disney 3. So let's get your opinion on those, since you're such a sci-fi expert. And
I'm not an expert. There's no way. I'm a wannabe expert. But when you actually get me to people that are better at analysis, it shows how much I'm not good at it. But I mean, yeah, definitely I'm a fan of the original 3. I actually did read a number of, I think maybe a dozen or so of the what at the time they called the EU Expanded Universe novels. Those were actually that's actually what got me to read more was those books, and I enjoyed those books thoroughly. They're considered legends now, but yeah, original. It's just as a kid it's fun to watch. So there's this nostalgia factor. I think that helps you to enjoy it. The prequels, when it was coming out, I wasn't sure how I felt about it. Right, like I was sort of like, this is kind of cool. I mean, like you're seeing Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon fighting Darth Maul, and that looks kind of cool. I mean, you actually have like actual like really cool lightsaber battles. And but I remember saying to someone at church who was asking me, "He's like, oh, what did you think?" And I'm like, and this is, I wasn't very picky at the time. Like I just generally liked everything, but I was like, you know what? I think I might like the originals better. You know, I was just like, this is the first time I'm starting to have a like discriminating taste. And then after a while, like everyone, I'm sort of like, yeah, the prequels weren't as good. Like I was happy when Disney took over at the time, and they were going to do the sequels, because I was like, yeah, George Lucas really dropped the ball. I have a deeper appreciation for the prequels now, after the sequels. But you know, and even before the sequels, I did have an appreciation for the story. I could see the story that George Lucas was trying to tell, and it was actually, I think, really good. The whole idea of Palpatine being behind the Separatists and the Republic, pitting them against each other, and you know, just, you know, the idea of why Anakin fell. I think and I will say this on real reviews, it's the execution that was the problem with the prequels. But the idea, you know, the whole idea of his like him being a slave, they could have used that so much more. That was such an interesting concept, you know, him coming from a slave as a boy to eventually becoming, you know, this dark lord of the galaxy, obviously still under the Emperor, which actually you could have done stuff with that as well, being under somebody else, having to submit to it, your Emperor. But it made sense that he would want more power, especially, and then the whole thing with his mom dying and then Padme dying. I mean, that's kind of what pushed him over the edge. It's like he wanted to save those he loved, so he wanted the power. So that's interesting, and it makes sense. It's just like you don't see it as much. You don't see it. I think it's not as clear, but I think the idea is good. And I think if you watch, like, I would recommend everyone watch the there's two different Clone War series. There was the 2D one, which got retconned once George Lucas decided to do the 3D one. 3D one I didn't like at first. I went back and watched it. It's actually a really excellent story series. And so the Clone Wars series actually helped me to appreciate the prequel era a lot more, because I think the guy behind it, Dave Filoni, who's done a lot of good stuff for Star Wars since then, he understood George Lucas's vision, and he was able to execute the story better. So if you watch the Clone Wars series, which I recommend watching after, if you haven't seen the prequels, like, I would recommend watching it after you watch the movies, instead of watching it in between, because the Clone Wars series takes place in between episode 2 and 3. But I feel, in my opinion, I think it's better just to kind of sort of watch the movies first, and then watch the series almost as kind of a prequel to Revenge of the Sith in a way, and watch it in chronological order, because they didn't release the series in chronological order originally. So watch that in chronological. Go just look up Clone Wars chronological order. It's on StarWars.com, or you just Google it or DuckDuckGo it, and you'll see it. And it's a little bit of a pain if you're going like Disney Plus. You have to make sure, okay, I got to watch this episode, and I have to go to this season. By and large, everything is in order, but some of them you have to watch out of order. But the Clone Wars actually, I think it redeems the prequel era of Star Wars, and so it makes me appreciate Anakin more. I always like Obi-Wan. I think Obi-Wan was done well for the most part in the movies. And of course you got the original actor playing the Emperor coming back. So I think he did a pretty good job too. But yeah, it's just an excellent series, and it makes you appreciate it a lot more, and it makes you appreciate Anakin's, I think, you know, fall from grace, if that's the way to put it, even more, because you just cared more about Anakin, I think, because you're allowed to see the story develop a lot more, especially, and you're allowed to see that whole idea of Anakin and Obi-Wan as brothers develop more too, because you see that in you hear the Alec Guinness version of Obi-Wan make reference to that. It's like, oh, you know, he was a good friend, and it doesn't feel like you see that as much in the movies. I mean, you kind of see it in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, where they're kind of bantering and stuff like that. They're more like equals, they're more like brothers, but you don't get a chance to feel that relationship. And so I think watching the series allows you to do that. Sequels, when Force Awakens came out, I actually really enjoyed that, and I still, even after just coming to the conclusion that I dislike the sequels, I still have enjoyed the Force Awakens when I've rewatched it. But if I could go back and change what they did, I think I probably would have just maybe had them take what George Lucas had in his mind and had them do the execution, because I think that's the problem with the prequels is too much George Lucas was in control of it. And from what I understand, he might not, I think he might not even wanted to direct it, but everyone just like, no, you have to direct it, which I, at the time I would have said, yeah, that makes sense. George Lucas needs to be the one to be in control of everything. I think that was the issue. He had the vision. He probably needed somebody else to execute it. I think the problem with Disney is you didn't have enough George Lucas involved in that. And so he did have a treatment in his mind for what he wanted for the sequels. They just threw that out. Maybe not completely. I think they borrowed some things. But I think if, you could go back, I would say, yeah, just don't even do Force Awakens the way it was, and just completely wipe that out and do something different. But I feel like if you were to keep Force Awakens in there, you could have still made a decent story from that, because they introduced a lot of things in that was interesting, a lot of mystery. And then it's like, who's Rey, who is Snoke, even who is Finn, and things like that. A lot of who are these people kind of things. And what's the deal with Luke? There's a lot of stuff that could have answered in the next two movies that could have been interesting. They could have still worked off of that, and I think and made a decent trilogy. But it's the thing is, you look at the prequels and the original trilogy, and I think looking past the execution issues with the prequels, I think you can appreciate Anakin's journey from beginning to end when he turns back to the light side. Because again, it's understandable why Anakin descended in eventually at the end, because he couldn't save his mom, which affected him deeply. He wanted to save Padme, so it made sense that he wanted to have as much control as he could and have this power, which would allow him to be in complete control, at least in his mind. And it's funny at the end of Return of the Jedi, when he defeats the Emperor, he doesn't even use the Force to save his son. He uses his own strength. It was an act of love, not an act of desperation, not an act of fear, but it was an act of love, not using the Force at all to eventually win. And it's just interesting to me that when you look at the entire arc of Anakin, there's something there that George Lucas was he had a vision. Whereas you look at the sequel, it throws all that out. It's like, how is this part of the Skywalker saga? How is this part of Luke's story? That this is where they end up. It's like they're even trying to get away from Luke and Leia and Han. It's like they're just sort of side characters in there, and they're trying to hand off the baton, and it doesn't continue it. It's just like they're just trying to do Star Wars Disney's way, and it's like, oh man. And I really want them to just retcon that and be like, this didn't actually happen. You know what? The sequel trilogy, you know what this is? This is like Luke's Force vision that he had of what could happen, and he's not going to allow it to happen that way. And so we're just going to throw it out, right? Like when he sees the vision, when he sees the future in Empire Strikes Back, and Yoda's like, a possible future it is, or something. I forget what the line is, right? But he's like, the future's not written, right? It's what you're seeing is only a possibility, and what you do now is going to affect that. How about we have the sequel trilogy just be a possible future? Luke sees it, or Grogu sees it, or whatever, and says, this is what will happen if we go down this path. Let's not let it happen that way, and just erase it. Because otherwise, all the stories they're writing right now on Disney Plus, they have to make sure it fits into that future, which really sucks. And it's just like I'm not a story person. I'm not good at like understanding story structure and stuff like that. But it's just it does nothing for the I don't know, the themes and the plot and where the characters go. It's just like what's the point? Like you defeat Palpatine comes back, spoiler alert, and Rey is a Skywalker now, even though she wasn't. It's like what? So yeah, sequels. I do like what they're doing on Disney Plus right now. I'm excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi, to see what they're doing with that, and I'm excited that Ewan McGregor came back, and I heard Hayden Christensen is actually supposed to be in that too. Which, even though I didn't necessarily love his portrayal as Anakin, I'm actually excited to see what they do with that. So I know I went on for a while, but is that what you were asking?
First of all, let me apologize to Elle if you're still here.
Sorry, did I ruin something?
Turn this. She hasn't seen any of them.
Any of which ones? Any of the Star Wars at all?
Any of them.
I thought
on our docket list.
Huh?
It was on our list to do. We haven't hit any of the Star Wars yet.
I thought you guys were. I thought I remember you guys watching it and being like, "What? Who was it?" You guys didn't see it. You watched them.
I've watched them all. Yeah.
But I thought I remember her saying like she was watching them like in episode order, and I'm like, is that somebody else?
Correction, I didn't see the last one.
You didn't see
the prequels.
You didn't see Revenge of the Sith?
No. Not the prequels. The sequels.
The sequels.
Yeah.
Oh.
The last one, the sequels. I saw the. Okay. So let me give my analysis. I was going to come out and say the sequels were the best ever. And then I tried saying it and I vomited in my mouth too much. So that didn't work. The original, and we got one person commenting on this, saying that they thought the originals were awesome. The prequels were awesome. And the sequels were not so much.
Prequels awesome, final installation garbage.
I would have to agree with you a lot. Some corrections. The originals, gold. I mean, as far as from a writing standpoint, book standpoint, you can't get much better than that. I mean, it's a good Christian message of redemption. It really is a pattern of redemption. And the opportunities that are given to you there. The prequels, let me ask you, NATE2D2, who was the main character in all the prequels?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess it should have been Anakin. But it's I guess it was sort of an ensemble.
There's no main character is the answer. There's no clear main character. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the prequels. I enjoyed them for what they are, mainly because I already saw the main ones. So, and I watched those in the movie theater and went to the movie theater for each one of them. So I greatly enjoyed watching them. But from a writing standpoint, from book standpoint, they kind of suck. If I were to redo them, what I would have done was I would have had the main character be Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's who the main story is about. And I would not have killed off Darth Maul at the beginning. I would have had him come back as a reoccurring character, as a reoccurring villain for all the main three. Basically, I would have turned him into the Darth Vader of the prequels, where he is a constant opponent. The main drive between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul would have been the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi's master at the hands of Darth Maul. That would have been a real opportunity for there to be character development on Obi-Wan Kenobi, because you definitely could have had him a couple times just like forget what his mission is. It's a personal vendetta against the two. And then that'd be like, no, that's not the Jedi way. You must be able to move past this. I think that would have worked well. The underlying story I would have had with Anakin, I would have had Anakin's story be given in the prequel and the original. So it would be 6 movies to tell Anakin's story, 3 movies to tell Obi-Wan's story, 3 movies to tell Luke's story. That's how I would have had it. That way you have the 3 main characters and the stories told throughout those 3 main characters' lives. The 3D Clone Wars, excellent writing. It astounded me how good the writing was in that. My brothers love it to no end. And it's really cool to go through that. Again, it's shocking because, again, it was a TV series and it had remarkable writing for a TV series. Absolutely remarkable. As I was mentioning beforehand, we get to the sequels. I was not as optimistic when the mouse bought them. I was not as optimistic when the mouse said that they were now going to own it because they are the mouse and they are too big, in my opinion. They own too much crap. They've got too much stuff to go and they have an agenda to preach. And I think that's really caused the sequels to suffer, is they had an agenda that they wanted to preach and they preached the agenda over the cost of the story. Now, again, the originals did it right. You could have a message inside a movie. There's nothing wrong with that. It was fantastically done, but it was not at the sacrifice of the story. It was not at the sacrifice of the fans, which you see that with the sequels. So again, the first one, there are a bunch of holes. There are a bunch of, not just little holes. There are semi-sized holes. So, spoiler for anyone that hasn't seen these things. In the original series, you had Death Star 1, created, destroyed. You have Death Star 2, partially created, destroyed. The Empire was at its full power during this time, bringing in all the money. And that was all they could afford to do, was those 2. And then for somehow, this small fraction of the Empire is able to turn a planet into a Death Star. How? How do you have that much money?
They had 30 years.
30 years. You can have 30 years, but if that's a lot of money. The Empire during its prime didn't do that. So I have a hard time believing that you could do it.
Slave labor,
maybe. Again, we're just talking about I forget what the order. What is the order called?
Oh, the First Order.
The First Order, and it's supposed to be a small fraction of the original Empire. Small fraction, and they're able to do all this. Sorry, I call bullcrap on that one. It's basically New Hope over again in a lot of ways. They blow up the Death Star. Everyone's happy. It looks like they just gave it a new coat of paint, stuck their message on it, and said, here, live with it. So now there were a bunch, for all those flaws, there were a bunch of cool things that came out of that one. I was really intrigued to hear whose Rey's parents were. I was really intrigued of who the Snoke character was. The story behind, and that was a disappointment. But the story behind the main character, the main villain, what was his name again? He was that memorable.
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren pulled off his helmet as a white nerd. It's white nerd, and I think that really encapsulates some of the things that a lot of the fan base repulsed on. Was basically the guy they identified with most was the villain and was portrayed as the main villain. Well, it's Snoke, but the main antagonist. I think they could have done much better with him. I think that I would have left the mask on. Don't take that thing off. The mystery is a good thing. Intrigue, pull that out. I mean, the whole thing with Darth Vader for a long time was the intrigue of who was underneath that mask. You could have played that out, and I think that would have been a much better story writing aspect of it. Was that there's a mystery. You want mystery. You don't want too much mystery, but you want a good mixture of mystery. And then you don't want to do what they did with those mysteries. Kylo Ren's parents were nobodies. Basically, they were just no ones. Yes, she was the granddaughter of
Palpatine?
Yeah, Palpatine. But Darth Sidious. That's who I was going for. Darth Sidious, not Plagueis. Plagueis was his master. Darth Sidious. Yeah. Okay. Really kind of pulled that one out last possible second. There was no indication of that. No. Tell you truthfully who I thought it was? I thought Luke was her dad.
A lot of people thought that. Yeah.
Because I thought that would have been an inch, and that would have given good reason why, she has all these abilities. And again, one of my biggest problems, again, if you're battling against someone who is trained, I don't care how much innate skill you have. If you've never used the weapon beforehand, you're going to get your butt kicked. Yeah, like I said, I go over so much stuff with this guy that I'm working on with his story that it's like these things blare out to me and I can't enjoy the story because there's so many blaring holes. So, and then, making Luke, how they treated Luke was by far appalling. How he was abused. His character was abused in that series. He was the hopeful character, the person who believed that his father could repent. His father was one of the worst people in the universe, and he kept faith throughout the entire series that his dad would repent. And you're telling me that he tried to kill his nephew because he had a feeling that he might go bad. That's not the same character. With a large fan base, it would have been much better if they would have played to that fan base. If they wanted to have a message in it, have a light message in it, but play to the fan base. Because they're the ones who are going to want to carry this. They're the ones that are going to want to tell their kids about it. They're the ones that are going to want to show their kids about it. I do not want to show my kids about it. I'll show my kids the prequels and the originals. But the sequels, no. Rather not. So, and then the whole twist with Palpatine still being alive, I think that was come out of left field. I think the way they killed off Snoke was a poor way of doing it. It was shocking, but really? The big lead up was that? That was it? Really? Come on, I deserve a little bit more than that. But, so yeah, I think that if like you were saying, right, Colin, if they did do that, I think they would be much better off, and I think a lot of their fan base would love that. I don't think they've gone too far yet because Star Wars is such a huge thing. I think that they could definitely pull their fan base back if they retconned it and started over and told a story for a story's sake. Where unfortunately, you have some of the main characters passing away. I know the guy that played Han Solo doesn't want anything to do with it. He doesn't ever want to go back to Star Wars. He hates Star Wars. He's always hated the Star Wars. He actually secretively has. He loves Indiana Jones. If he likes the character, he doesn't like Han Solo. But yet that's what most people know him for. So yeah, if they retconned it, started over, you know what? went back to where Luke is training kids. I think that would be an interesting story. You could definitely get fans behind that. Um, sorry, need to get fresh, fresh in my throat. Yeah, so if you did that, where he's training them, he's developing them, maybe searching for truth. Tell you truthfully, what I would do is I wouldn't do any prequels. I'd retcon it, kill it, and do go back and do more sequels. What I would go back to is the Knights of the Old Republic. Go back to Revan. Go back to Malik's story. That's who I'd go back to. I think that they have an interesting enough story. Even if you just took the video games and took the original video games and copy paste those stories over into the movies, I think would do great. And then I would pull those stories into the new sequels that I would make. That's what I would do. I'd pull those together. I think that would be really intriguing if you pulled those together. I think you'd get a good bit of the fan base going after that. Sorry, that's how I would do it if I was given it. If I was given like, here's Star Wars, do something with it. That's how I would do it. I would say, actually, what I would have done beforehand, before the prequels were done, I would have looked. They had a. This is how to screw up a great series. I mean, seriously, you had a huge fan base with so many books out there already written. What you should have done is go to the people who published those books, because it was free. Anyone could write them. Go to those people who published the book. Say, hey, we want to take use some of your story or all of your story in the next Star Wars movie. Come be a part of it. Do you know how crazy the fan base would have gone over that? That would have been mind-blowing. How crazy, because it would have been a nerd, just like everyone that's a fan of Star Wars. And pull them into that. You know, this guy who wrote this probably in his basement, and you're pulling him now, he's part of the Star Wars universe as well as what he wrote. Oh, you would have had an explosion. You couldn't have kept that movie on the shelf. And you couldn't keep that movie in the sequels after that, any others after that on there. And you have had so many new writers come up and just want to write Star Wars fan stories because you don't know if you're going to pick it. And you had such a large selection. It would have been a no-brainer. And you would have also cut down on a bunch of cost. I mean, really, got a bunch of money, huge fan base, blows up. Yeah, it's a win-win. Sorry, again, I was one of those fans that got a little upset.
a little.
Just a little. And the fact that I can look at the stories and say, hey, this is how it should have been written, sucks.
I mean, I don't know. I like what they've been doing on Disney Plus with the series. You know, around the.
I like Grogu.
Yes, Grogu. I like Grogu.
We got Disney Plus just for that for a bit, just to watch that series. The Mandalorian. I would love to have more Mandalorians, and their history is so cool.
It is. Cool. It is interesting. Yes.
And again, that would go back to the Knights of the Old Republic, and it's like, guys, you've got so many cool things to do. Why you gotta suck it out dry by overriding the story with a message instead of just letting the story tell itself? So yeah, Grogu, the Book of Boba Fett, I wasn't much a fan of it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I think they could still do something with it in the future seasons.
I don't know. I think they kind of killed the character when it made him a wuss.
I think so.
Sorry, it really made him more. He was supposed to be this crazy, cool bounty hunter that's like kicking butt and taking name, and then he becomes basically a babysitter. That's basically he just becomes a babysitter and a wuss. It's like, okay, if I want to see a kick butt character, my favorite kick butt character, I want to see him kick butt. Really, a little bit, but not to levels that I would have expected. It's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be. This is a crime syndicate. Come on. I personally like darker stories, and it's like, going back to anime. Going back to my Overlord. I'll go back to Overlord.
Overlord, yeah. I'd still see whatever they'd put out. I mean, I'm gonna see whatever Star Wars puts out. It's probably gonna be they have to like really run it into the ground if I'm not gonna watch it. But I still like I'm excited to see what they do with Obi-Wan with Ahsoka and whatever else is supposed to be coming out, and see how they follow up from. Did you see Rebels? The TV series?
Did not see Rebels.
You know what, I would watch that. It's a little bit kiddie, but once you get into the second season, I think I mean even the first season I like, but once you get into the second season, and maybe halfway through the second season, I feel like it. Like when I rewatched it, I think in many ways I liked Rebels more than Clone Wars. If I rewatch Clone Wars, I might feel like I like Clone Wars better, but I think Rebels is actually a really good series. And if you don't, like everything is really connected, so I think there's stuff that you would miss or gets spoiled if you don't watch Rebels.
I like those sort of shows that you have to, and definitely those sort of movies where you watch it through first, and then you have to watch it through. Next time you watch it, you catch more stuff, and it's like all interlaced, and it's really cool. Say with Grogu, his whole story with the Mandalorian, I thought it was really cool having Ahsoka come on there. I thought she popped up, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool!" Those sort of things. That right there, that is gold. If you had that interlaced a couple of places here, there in the sequel series and cleaned up the storyline, it would have blown up. It would have. Because then you got the cameos of the characters you love in there and their end stories. That would have been great. And surprises. You need surprises. I think that's one of the biggest problem I've had with a lot of movies nowadays. Definitely like the most recent Spider-Man. It's like I saw the previews, and the previews spoiled everything. I would have rather have it, looking back at it, it would have been better if I would have just known that there's a Spider-Man movie come out, not seen any of the trailers, and just went in there flat out. I would have been freaking out about it. It would have been nuts.
That's why I avoid trailers and rumors and everything these days.
The trailers just killed everything. I was like, guys, come on. Because I was going in there, I was like, okay, they must have something else in here as far as the trailers go. There must have been something they didn't show on the trailer. And I was like, no, that's the movie, just the Cliff Notes version. That's the trailer.
Wait, the recent Spider-Man?
Yeah, the recent Spider-Man. Because they had all the villains that came through. They had the Spider-Man that came through. It's all there in the trailer. And it's like, if they wouldn't have had that stuff in the trailer, if it would just been Spider-Man versus, some sort of Doc Ock, just the Doc Ock scenes, without showing the Doc Ock actor, I think that would have been a lot more powerful. When I go to the movie theater and all of a sudden, that's what's happening. These things are coming in over here, coming in. Oh, that's cool. That would have been a lot more of a powerful hit. And those sort of mysteries, those sort of surprises, those are, like I said before, gold in a story. You don't want to waste those. So, I talk
Yeah.
too much.
Don't watch trailers. That's what I do.
Don't watch trailers. Just
Yeah.
know what movies are coming out, and then go see them on their own, so you don't get spoiled. So, okay. Well, it has been over 3 hours now
Yep. That
since we
yeah.
started. Where are we at as far as fundraisers go?
I
Since you
think
get the
we're
most updated number.
we're still at 905. I haven't seen any notifications. So, man,
Thank
people,
you.
I mean we gave them the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, they failed us. They failed us, man. Oh well. Sylvie. Well, anyway, even though we did not hit the goal, we arbitrarily made it like halfway through the stream for no apparent reason other than we decided to. Um, thank you guys so much for joining us and giving as much as you have. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes,
Um,
thank you so much.
Given over $200, well over $200. I would love to see this grow. Hopefully, with SOC's stream tomorrow
Yes.
and stream Monday will be great. Go check those out. I'm hoping that he can get more traction than I did and can blow it out of the water. That would be fantastic. So, thank you guys so much for joining us. And I am going to. Hey, D News here. Have you been here the whole time? I'm just not chatting. Let us go ahead and end in prayer. Nate, will you end us in prayer?
Yes, I would be happy to. Let's pray. Oh, dear Heavenly Father, we just, I want to thank you just that we have this opportunity to bless Sean and his family this way, that we have this technology and we have this community of people that are willing to rally around this family. And I pray that more people are willing to step up and help this brother and his family who are in need. I pray that you sustain Sean and his family during this time. I pray that whatever it is that you want them to learn through this experience, that they're able to see it, to understand it. And I pray that they will be able to remain faithful and rest in you and find that peace in you. Again, we do pray that more people will be willing to give, that we may be bringing exposure to the GoFundMe, but ultimately we just pray that that your will be done. You know what they need. You know how this needs to be done. And so we place them in your hands. I thank you for everyone that's given. I thank you for your brother in Christ who's been willing to do this live stream, and for everyone who's shared and just that are continuing to pray for the Hurst. We thank you for watching over them. We thank you for sustaining them. We thank you that you above all else love the Hurst. And I pray that that we understand how we are to love them and be an example to the world. Again, thank you. We just thank you for everything that you've done, everything and all that you are to us. I pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.